Good evening. In 3 weeks, we're going to be determining leadership for the next 4 years. Elections are an important and critical moment in history where, as a democratic society, we get to choose who represents and leads our communities forward. The people we choose will represent our community as ambassadors and promoters of our region, individuals tasked with coming together for a greater good. In this moment in time, we have an opportunity to step up and cast a vote and have your say. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lisa Dressler. I'm the Executive Director of the Southeast Alberta Chamber of Commerce. It's my pleasure to welcome you to our third session and second night of our 2025 Municipal Election Forums. In the spirit of respect, reciprocity, and truth, we acknowledge and are grateful to live, work, and play in the many traditional and unceded territories covering our native lands throughout Canada that Inuit, Métis, and First Nations people call home. We honor and acknowledge that we are situated on the traditional and unceded territories of the Siksika, Kainai, Piikani, Stoney Nakoda, Tsuut'ina, as well as the Cree, Sioux, and the Saulteaux bands of the Ojibwe people. We also honor and acknowledge that we are on the homelands of the Métis Nation, and we give thanks to the land that has been cared for and shared with us by the many people who have come before us. The Southeast Alberta Chamber of Commerce has been advocating for business since 1900, and we play an active role in seeking answers to the questions and concerns of importance to our membership. The Chamber covers 8 municipalities in Southeast Alberta, with close to 20,000 square kilometers, a population base of 109,000 people, and a membership of close to 900 businesses. We are member-driven and member-led. We're a not-for-profit organization. We aren't government, but we work to influence the decisions that government makes that have an impact on our business community. We also aren't funded by government, but we advocate for fair, equitable, and sustainable funding models and taxation for our business community to help our community thrive. We aren't a bank or a lending institution, but we do provide support and can direct business to where to find funding and provide support and direction. We represent one-person and home-based businesses to large corporations, and we've been doing so for 125 years. I heard the quote a couple of years back that a Chamber of Commerce is the most powerful, powerless organization because we don't create the legislation or policy decisions of government, but we do work to influence those decisions and to work towards our vision of being a leading advocacy organization for business and a catalyst for growth and prosperity in Southeast Alberta. Our mission is to empower and support our business community through our connections, support, and influence, providing innovative solutions and fostering a vibrant, inclusive, and thriving economic environment in Southeast Alberta. We're here to support and advocate for our members, to foster regional growth and prosperity, and we believe in integrity, collaboration, innovation, inclusivity, advocacy, engagement, and excellence in all that we do. You can find out more through southeastalbertachamber.ca and visit our advocacy page to check out our advocacy insights and our 2025 Vote Prosperity campaign to see all that we've been working on and all that we're asking for. Tonight, we'll be hearing from our councillor candidates and our mayoral candidates for the City of Medicine Hat as they explain their positions on a variety of issues facing our city, while also explaining their qualifications and experience that have led them to vie for a position to help govern our city. As a nonpartisan organization, the Chamber is proud to advocate for openness and transparency at all levels of government. We encourage our business members and the community to take a vested interest in electing their representatives who will represent the city over the next 4 years. So please make an informed voting decision. We sincerely appreciate all those who are taking the time to join us here this evening and all of those who are watching us online live and leading up to Election Day. We also appreciate the support and partnership of the city staff, Phil and his stellar team. They have been incredible to work with here at the Esplanade for working with our incredible team at the Chamber. I'm so proud of each one of our team members who have put this all together. Phil, for your team, your AV and technical support in producing an incredible online production for our community so that they can engage and watch the content leading up to Election Day. We ask that those in the audience refrain from pictures, video, or streaming the forum this evening, as we do have existing media agreements in place, and not all attendees in the audience have agreed to photography here tonight. The Southeast Alberta Chamber of Commerce has gained permission through the agreements with candidates for audio, video, and photography here this evening, but we ask others to take the opportunity for photographs with candidates in the lobby after the session here this evening. At this time, I would like to introduce our moderator for the evening, Aaron Fleming. Aaron was born and raised in Medicine Hat and continues to proudly call it home. Aaron's career has allowed him to work closely with a wide range of sectors and influential industries across Alberta. His dedication to community service is evident through his involvement with numerous organizations, serving in the chamber movement for close to 14 years with our local chamber and the Alberta Chambers of Commerce in all leadership and executive roles. He's active in the community and invested in the work within our region. Aaron's a commercial account executive with Western Financial Group, and we're proud to welcome Aaron back once again. He wasn't quite done, so he came back as our president for 2025-2026. I've been privileged to know Aaron and his family for over a decade. Aaron and Berenice have been married for over 2 decades and have 3 incredible daughters. Aaron's deep local roots and professional excellence showcase his heartfelt passion and community engagement. He truly embodies the spirit of Medicine Hat and is always willing to roll up his sleeves and lend a hand. So please join me in welcoming to the stage, Aaron Fleming.
Man, I really wish I had control of her mic tonight. That was a little long, don't you think? I'm kidding. Am I? I moderated the other night, and I actually had my assistant at the office say to me today, she goes, "You're moderating tonight, you're wearing that?" And I said, "Yeah, I am." And so I quickly went over to my daughter at work, and I asked her for a fit check, and she said my fit's fire. So I think I'm good tonight. But I am honored to be moderating tonight's event for the Chamber. All electoral candidates were provided an opportunity to grant consent and provide their information to the Chamber of Commerce and to receive an invitation to participate in these forums. Each candidate was free to accept or decline through signing a memorandum of understanding to participate. Before we begin tonight's debate, I would like to take a moment to explain the rules to which all of the candidates have agreed on. Each candidate will have 1 minute to make an opening statement before we proceed into the question and debate forum portion of tonight's event. On the topics presented, each candidate will have 1 minute to respond to the questions asked. Follow-up questions may be asked, to which they will also have 1 minute to respond. During tonight's question and answer period, I may open the floor to debate following a particular topic to a maximum of 4 minutes per topic. As a matter of decorum during the debate, I would ask the candidates to address statements and questions to the moderator, that's me for the candidates, rather than to the audience or to each other. Finally, each candidate will have 1.5 minutes to make a closing statement at the end of the program. This forum is structured in a manner that allows equal opportunity for all candidates to express their views and plans for action, and the effect this will have on our community. The structure of this forum allows each of you, as the audience, to hear from each candidate equally, so you can make an informed decision on October 20th. With a number of candidates running in this year's municipal election and the time we have together, we're limited to how many questions can be asked. So we will be providing any additional questions to the candidates following the forums, and any responses received will be posted on our website as they are received, so you're welcome to go there and look at those. For an audience, I ask that you refrain from participating in the forum in any other way other than quiet observation. Please hold any applause or comments until the end of the forum. This is for your benefit, as we have a lot of information to go through this evening, and any interruption will lessen the time we have available to hear from our candidates. If you have a cell phone with you, please make sure it's put on silent. If it's not on silent, I've asked the crew, they've got spotlights to come right down on you. So we'll be also accepting written questions from the audience this evening, which will be collected by Chamber volunteers and delivered to designated forum scrutineers. If you have a question to submit, please hold your hand up during the debate and they'll be collected by a volunteer. The volunteers also have paper and pencils if needed. The questions may or may not be included in our program this evening at my discretion and the time that we have available. Please keep in mind that with 12 candidates and only 1.5 hours per session, it allows about 7.5 minutes of time per candidate. Now, without any further ado, I would like to invite the audience in joining me to welcome to the stage the 2025 council candidates for the City of Medicine Hat. So, Stephen Campbell, Robert Dumanowski, Don Fedoruk, Brock Hale, Pamela Coons, Emmanuel Moritz, Caleb Orge, Dan Reinish, Dan, Kirby Schaefer, Kirsten Speck, David Toth, Brian Varga. And I didn't screw up Dan's name on purpose. We literally talked about this, didn't we, Dan? Yeah, he'll remind me. But let's begin. So each candidate will have a minute with their opening statements. And you'll see the clock that's in front of you at 60 seconds. And we'll begin with Stephen Campbell with his opening statement.
Thank you for coming. My name's Stephen Campbell. I'm applying for the job of City Council. I moved to Medicine Hat in 1996 to join the oil field like many other people have. I've got over 2 decades into that. I went back in my 40s to get my business administration degree so I could pursue my career in business management, which I have successfully. I've run restaurants, hotels. Currently, I am the operations manager for Tower Estates as a community manager, running my own little community. What I've seen in this last 4 years is no management, no economic growth, no population growth, and complete chaos, and I'd like to change that. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert Dumanowski.
Good evening. Lisa and Aaron from the Chamber of Commerce candidates, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Robert Dumanowski, and I'm vying for re-election as City Councillor. I'm a school principal by profession, and I've been in education for 30 years. I hold a Bachelor of Education degree and a master's degree in Leadership and Administration. And I am honored to be married to a beautiful woman named Pamela, who's an RN, and together we have raised 4 wonderful children. One of the other things that I've been blessed with is to grow up in a large family of 8 children with immigrant parents and a grandmother who came to Canada, and they taught us 2 core values: integrity and humility. With your support, I hope to live out that promise of those values and represent you proudly for 4 more years. Thank you.
Thank you. Don Fedoruk.
Good evening, Medicine Hat. You know me, I'm the kid that went to the University of Alberta, graduated with a Bachelor of Education degree. And before being an owner-operator with Care Cabs, I was a social worker at Edmonton Social Services and also a social worker with Alberta Social Services here in Medicine Hat, where I licensed daycares, was a liaison for a group home, worked with foster homes, and I was also a juvenile probation officer. Before that, or after that, I became a partner and board of director with the company Spit Sunflower Seeds for 9 years, and that was operating out of Bow Island. I also worked overseas with 2 companies. I was fortunate to be under the direction of John Molson III. And in the intervening time of about 30 years, I had 11 restaurants that I owned and operated.
We have to move to Brock. Brock Hale.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. This is exciting. This is an amazing event. But I must admit, I'm also a little bit terrified to be here. I wish I could chat with each one of you individually. I wish I could shake your hands. I wish I could hear your stories. I wish I could hear your frustrations and I could get to know you. But but this isn't about what I want, this is about what you want. This is about Medicine Hat, and this is about you. My name's Brock Hale. I'm a husband, a father to 2 amazing kids. I'm a teacher, French immersion middle school. I'm a coach, I'm a volunteer. I'm a Family Feud Canada champion with my brothers, and I'm also a candidate for council. And I'm a born Hatter, born and raised here. I love this city, and I want to be part of moving forward in a positive direction and helping this city move forward. Thanks.
Thank you, Brock. Pamela Coons.
My name's Pamela Coons, and anybody that knows me, Erin is going to say, why did you give her a microphone?
What's that?
Why'd you give me a microphone? I don't need one. So I've been a Medicine Hat since 1995, and I've recently learned I can't actually say I'm a Hatter, but I have done something, and that is I produced 3 Hatters for you. And so now that they are all grown, I have decided to dedicate the next years of my life to this. It's very important to me. I've spent the last 20 years, excuse me, in management, in business, in leadership positions. I'm trained in occupational health and safety, so it gives me a variety of experiences that I can bring forward on the knowledge of the operational side that we'll be looking at from the council perspective. So 6 years ago, I started to understand that I had to learn more about governance. So I started sitting on some boards, and I sat on the YMCA board first, and now I'm still sitting on 2 boards, which if I am granted to vote, I will have to step down from, but 6 boards in total.
Thank you. Emmanuel Moritz.
Good evening. My name is Emmanuel Moritz, so I'm going to provide just a little bit of background material to start with. My parents came here in the late 50s with 2 squalling children, or perhaps it was one very well-behaved daughter and a very rambunctious and noisy son. They came here. Why did they come here? They came here for the opportunity. They came here for hope. They came here because they thought this place was a place that they could grow old in. Sorry. Yeah. Anyway, part and parcel of why they came is they created a business, they created success. They created success. They taught their children that hard work and discipline were required for the future. They taught their children that they should provide service to their community. They taught their children that this was an opportunity for them.
Thank you. Caleb Ward.
4 years ago, Medicine Hat was staring down the barrel of lockdowns, layoffs, and a city council so milquetoast they'd rather sell our power plant than raise taxes. Sorry, Ted. So we ate our vegetables, right? We elected our first female mayor and first female majority council, and they buckled down and did the hard work, but then came the drama. And apparently, if there's one thing Medicine Hat hates more than selling our future, it's the drama. And so now we have the biggest slate Medicine Hat's ever seen, and on that slate is a bunch of rich Karens who'd rather faff about and raid the city coffers rather than raise taxes. Hi, I'm Caleb Borge. I'm a local stand-up comic, and I'll keep telling it like it is for the next 4 years.
Thank you. Dan Reinish.
Hello, everybody. Good to be here with you tonight. My name is Dan Reinish, and I've been working toward this moment since high school. In high school, I was voted one of the class officers, the people who helped put together the graduation, the party, the aftergrad, and between then working for the Terry Fox run and working in Medicine Hat for the last 7 years at Chat Television. In Chat Television, it was our responsibility to bring you the news and tell you what was going on. And that gave me a unique opportunity to always have to know what was going on. Never ask a question you don't know the answer to is a modicum, is a motto in news. Never ask a question you don't know the answer to. So every Friday I would read the agenda for the council meeting. I would watch the meetings, and then I would find out enough about the meetings afterwards so that I could talk with the main participants in them. And I want to put that work to work for you now as a Medicine Hat councillor.
Thank you, Dan. Kirby Schaefer.
Good evening. Thanks for coming. My name's Kirby Schaefer. I'm a born and raised Medicine Hatter. I've lived here my whole life. My roots are here. For 30 years, I worked for the City of Medicine Hat at Electric Distribution. In my role, I went from, I'm a journeyman power lineman. I moved into management, became operations superintendent, handled some budgets, was on a number of committees. And in 2021, I retired and enjoyed my new grandkids, did some golfing, and just started to enjoy retirement. Basically, I'm running for council because I've seen the city from when I was young to when I'm older. We went through the good times, the bad times, and they've steadily got worse. So I decided to throw my name in and be part of the solution.
Thank you. Kirsten Speck.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Kirsten Speck, and I am hoping to be one of your newly elected City Council members. I moved to Medicine Hat 11, going on 12 years ago, and this was never the place that I had planned to stay. But I met my husband shortly after I moved here, and the reason we chose to stay and raise our family here, we have 2 beautiful kids, is this city reminded me of where I came from. It's a city that is a small town feel and really values family. I come with a little bit of board experience. I've served on 2 boards, the Southeast Chamber of Commerce, as well as, oh gosh. It's funny, you get up here and you panic a little. My goal is to bring a balanced approach to City Hall, and, sorry. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. David Toth.
Good evening, my name's Dave Toth. Born and raised here in Medicine Hat. I got a wife, 2 kids, 2 lovely grandchildren. I've worked at Goodyear for 38 years now. I was involved in the union. I've bargained numerous contracts. I'm the president of the local Medicine Hat drag strip. I work with a team of people underneath me. I am a true blue-collar worker. And I do believe I have lots to bring to this city council. So, thank you.
Thank you. Brian Varga.
Well, for those of you who don't know me, my name's Brian Varga. I've been in Medicine Hat for 44 years now. I'm married to my beautiful wife for 43 years. I've got 3 kids and 5 grandkids. So Medicine Hat is the place to be. I've lived in other places during my time as a hockey player, and I always seem to bring my roots back to Medicine Hat. Medicine Hat is the most important thing to me right now. Things are a little bit frustrating right now, but I think that we can move it forward. Experience, I think, is very important. With being on council for 8 years, I think that experience is needed within City Hall. We know the ins and outs of what's going on in City Hall. We know the people to talk to. We have good relationships with them. And of course, above all else, we have to build a good team to run the city of Medicine Hat.
Thank you, Brian. Now that we've heard from all of the candidates, we're going to move to the question and debate portion of tonight's event. So the first topic that we'll start with, I can read really slow so that everybody can write it down, is we're going to talk about the city's energy and utilities. As the city-owned oil and gas reserves are depleting, the city has looked towards diversification of its energy portfolio. What is your position on the proposals for the MCC and Samus Solar, and what other strategies would you seek out to keep the city supplied with energy? So we'll start with Brock Hale on that one.
Thanks, Aaron. I think. This is something that I've started to learn more and more about as a teacher in my day job. This is not my expertise, but as I'm attending council meetings and I'm talking to community members, it's something I've been learning more and more about. One thing I think is Medicine Hat needs to maintain control of our utilities. The MCC, I would be, if the question is what is my position, there were 6 proposed ideas at the council meeting. I didn't like the 6 ideas. I think it needs to be simplified. And if we were to move forward with any kind of MCC or idea like that, there needs to be very strong framework so Medicine Hat can maintain control. council can maintain control of that so that the public has a say in it through their elected officials. And so the only way I'd be in favor is if we can still maintain control. Thanks.
Thank you. Candidate Toth? Candidate, you, Dave.
For the MCC, I don't think the city should be selling it. They've done a good job looking after it for all these years. I do believe that there's people that you can hire to run it for you and bring back to the council to make decisions on what we should do. As for the solar, there is a place for it. I don't believe the city should be funding all the money to do it. I think it needs investors, private investors, to offset the cost or take it over totally. It's just a big burden for the city taxpayers to cover all the cost. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Campbell?
Yeah, I believe that the MCC is off the table, and if I'm on council, I intend to keep it off. I think we should keep it in the city. I don't think council members should be scared to run our utilities. We have professionals that run the departments now. It's the council's job to be the governing body. They don't need to know every aspect of the utilities to run it. We're just sending directives and trying to set goals. That's what our CAO is for, and we send direction for her, and she gives us what we need. That's just governance. When it comes to the solar plant, I don't believe we should have a solar plant in Medicine Hat. I think that the technology isn't there for solar at this point. Maybe in the future. I believe solar panels believe on roofs, and if some businesses want to come in and want solar, we could put them on their roofs and compensate.
Thank you, Candidate Campbell. Candidate Schaefer?
As for the MCC, I tried to seek some knowledge out from other employees that I used to work with and try to get some answers as to what value this added and what benefit it was. I really couldn't find any that really made sense for the amount of money that would be spent in order to form it. So to me, if we need industry experts to bounce ideas off of, maybe we should employ some of those and put them in our energy division. That would be a lot cheaper than starting an MCC with a board that has no vested interest in Medicine Hat. As for the solar field, I don't know enough about the solar field. I have a lot of questions about it. I believe we need a lot more information in terms of costs, return on investment, the lifespan of those panels before we can make an educated decision to say I'm for it or not.
Thank you. Candidate Moritz?
In the energy, we're down to electricity. We don't own our own gas. We get the gas from TransCanada pipelines, so electricity is the place where we have to spend our resources. The MCC is a good idea, I think, if we can discover how much the cost is going to be, how much that we're going to gain out of this. Is our percentage of profit going to go up? Is it going to stay the same? If City Council continues to be the last resort for decisions for the energy division, we have to do a better job. Take 2 years ago, they raised the prices of electricity in Medicine Hat by 3 or 4 times. Council had the ability to set those prices for us. What we sell to the grid for is great. If we can make a lot of money there, that's fine, but they shouldn't make the money off the backs of the citizens of Medicine Hat.
Thank you. Candidate Dumanowski?
Thank you, Aaron. One thing is for certain, the energy sector has significantly shifted. It's a very volatile environment, and the advantages of an MCC, which I did initially support, provides a variety of expertise that we have in-house, but also across the country, and more so within the province, to help us deliver energy and results as far as dividends are concerned. NMAX and EPCOR have been doing this for many years and have delivered hundreds of millions or billions back to Calgary and Edmonton. But we need to tread that very carefully. Samus Solar is a project that is on the horizon, but When it comes to industry, they are looking for green energy alternatives. The only way they can grow their businesses or expand, which is what business retention is to grow from within. They need green energy. So we need to look at the business case, and if it supports it, let's move ahead.
Thank you. Candidate Varga.
Thank you. MCC, council voted it down, so I guess the next time they can bring it up is with the new council and 6 months later. So hopefully we can come up with some solutions or thoughts on that process. Back in the time that I was on council, we had experts come into the field, in the energy field, and teach us or give us information on which way we should go and what we should do and how we should handle our energy sector. So we did have those people in place, and we did do some good things with that. Solar, too many questions to ask. We do have the land, sterile land that we can't use. It could be a solar farm, but at what cost? Does the city have to pay a bunch of money in order to get this company to come into town and do it? One thing I would love to revisit if I get into council once again, is the carbon capture program with our abandoned wells. We had it in the process when I was there, and now I don't know where it went.
Thank you. Candidate Coons.
Just up until I put my paperwork in, I was a citizen. Now I'm just a candidate, but I have the access to the same information that everybody else has about the MCC, and I've studied it and I've tried to learn it and understand it so that if I'm granted with a seat on council, I'm equipped to make a decision that is best for the community. I cannot, for myself, see, honestly, a smoking gun from one side to the other, which is the best direction to go. So I hope once I have the access to the more in-depth information that may be on the other side, a more clear decision will come. When it comes to solar, I'm up for anything that actually benefits the City of Medicine Hat when it comes to new energies. I think we should be taking advantage of looking at residential and commercial solar opportunities on buildings and such like this. There's so many incentives through the province that we could take advantage of. Before we go into a big field, I think we should maybe try some small opportunities.
Thank you. Candidate Reinish.
Thank you, Aaron. As a pop culture collector and a collector of toys, you have to know when the time is right to sell. That's where you make your money. So the Power Corporation in the City of Medicine Hat right now, it does not make sense to sell it right now. We might be close to a time to sell it, but keeping Medicine Hat's power utilities in the hands of Hatters is very important right now. As far as the solar plant is concerned, boy, you know, this current council has spent a lot of time talking about it. They've committed a certain amount of money to it. There's another $70 to $100 million that possibly could be committed to the solar power field, and thus that's why once the new council gets in, we're going to have to spend some time finding out from the City of Medicine Hat whether or not this makes sense. When it comes to solar power in Medicine Hat, it's something that we should look seriously into, but when it comes to spending this kind of money, it's almost time to fish or cut bait.
Dan, has anyone ever told you that you have a voice for radio or TV?
I have been told I have a face for radio and a butt for television.
Nice. Nice. Good stuff. Candidate Speck.
Thank you. The MCC is a very complicated and emotional topic for a lot of people, I think. I believe it's important that we maintain control of our utilities. When I look at the data, I am very much on the same thought process as candidate Coons. I don't 100% believe an MCC is the right thing, but I'm not totally against an MCC. I think it's important to get in and weigh the pros and cons and the benefits or disadvantages of each. And once we have access to all that information, I think we can probably make a better decision.
Thank you. Candidate Fedoruk.
The MCC has many irritations. It can be, there's different options with this MCC that they can look after our utilities in the proper way, because over the next 10 years, and according to the reports, we're going to be spending $450 million to maintain our utilities. The MCC will be able to tell us when to sell what assets, when to invest in what renewables. They'll bring their expertise. All the while, we would still control our utilities. We just have a board of experts that are looking at it. So they don't come to Councillor Dumanowski or Fedoruk or somebody asking, is this the right time to sell such and such gas well? Is this the right time to sell such and such renewables? So there is some things to look at regarding the MCC.
Thank you. Candidate Orge.
Comco is, let me start over. The Medicine Hat advantage is that we are both a city and a power company. Comco is a dragon that can keep us cool in summer and bring us gold in winter. That's how it's always worked. We don't need an MCC to make these decisions for us. We need a council with the guts to be a board of directors of an energy company and a city council at the same time, and understand that there's a conflict between those two and resolve it and deal with it and stop pussyfooting around. I'm ambivalent and agnostic when it comes to the kind of energy. I don't care if the dragon has a nuclear heart or wings of solar, as long as it can fly on its own and put in that $500 million of capital investment to keep us warm and safe and rich.
Thank you. So we'll open the floor to debate. This free debate, as we had mentioned, won't last any more than 4 minutes. No candidate will speak for more than 30 seconds consecutively. And candidates must wait to be given the floor before speaking if they wish to rebuttal. So let's begin. Who would like to start? Candidate Hale?
All right, thank you. I just wanted to add to my thought of the 6 options of the proposed MCC. I didn't love the 6 options because I didn't feel like there was enough information at the table yet. I think administration can and does do wonderful work, but when presenting to council, the council needs every last bit of information to make that correct decision. And so I think there was just more legwork needing to be done for those options. Thanks.
Okay, Fedoruk, I think you were next.
Regarding the solar farm, I think one thing that, because that's a huge investment that we'd be looking at in the $100 to $200 million. And I think a possibility there is to bring on some of the major players in the industry that could come in and take an investment in the solar farm, and we would collect a lease or dividends from that solar farm without using our own money or a very small portion of our money.
Candidate Campbell?
I just want to clear up my view on the solar farm as well, too. The green energy is something that businesses do crave, and I understand that. But who needs our solar farm? And that's the questions that's been hidden from us this whole time. When we ask who needs it, we're always told, we can't tell you, we can't tell you. That's the problem. So nobody's going to trust a solar farm if we don't know who needs it. If the data mine is expanding 1,400%, is it them who needs it? And if so, just tell us.
Thank you. Moritz?
My wife and I were in Europe at Christmas time, and we drove through the countryside. We saw what was going on. There were no large solar fields. Every house, every barn had a solar panel. The places where we stayed in the apartments, there was a solar panel. So that's what we have to do. We have to incentivize local business and local residents to put solar on their own houses.
Thank you. Schaefer?
I just wanted to add a little clarity to the MCC. The NMAXs and EPCORs of the world that produce these large dividends for Calgary and Edmonton, they're vastly different than we are. They can stretch their wings all across the province. We have to stay within our service area. We cannot leave our service area. We're a monopoly. So the opportunities in our monopoly for us to spread our wings and get more dividends is more limited.
Thank you, candidate. Candidate Toth?
The MCC is a pretty complicated thing, and I don't think anybody up here really knows the ins and outs of how it works. That's why I feel that there is people out there you can hire to consult and run it and come back to City Council. I just don't want to see utilities keep going up and up because we put it into the MCC and keep raising our utilities. So that's how I feel. Thanks.
Thank you. Orge?
The advantage of being monopoly is we can choose to charge what we want, and when we want to make a profit and when we don't, as opposed to an MCC or a for-profit company that will charge whatever it wants, whenever it wants, and we will have to pay whatever it demands.
Thank you. Anybody else? Varga.
I think there's a lot of information that we have to be given first before we make a decision on a MCC. And I think council had a lot of information given to them in a short period of time. And when we are council members, we are inundated with information. So we do get to have a chance to have some good discussion and think about what we're trying to accomplish here. So it is a complicated matter, but I think it's something that might come into play again once the new council's put into place.
Hale, quick comment?
Yeah, thanks. Your questions are too long, too many questions in one, so 1 minute's hard. I didn't ever get to the solar part of it, but my answer would be the same. Until we have more information and we look at all the costs and the price and the return, I can't make a decision until I see all those numbers. Thanks.
Thank you. You know, time's wasted too when you tell me that the questions are hard. If you just answer them, you'll have an extra 5 seconds. So, topic number 2. So on the topic of strengthening business competitiveness, this one's really short. Would you commit to implementing in order to attract investment, retain existing business? Sorry, what would you commit to implementing in order to attract investment, retain existing businesses, and stimulate local business growth? We'll start with candidate Orge first.
A city grows by doing one of two things, either raising its taxes or increasing its population. Or if we're lucky, the property values can just keep increasing on their own through magical means caused by the federal government. But that all comes to an end at some point, and then the bills come back. So what we have to do is increase our population base. We have to attract new businesses, and we have to do it by every means necessary. As a comedian, I'm a big fan of stunts and publicity and going out there and challenging other communities to see if they can offer better than us. And the answer is probably not. We live in a great place. Medicine Hat is on the junction of the 3 and the 1. If anything passes north, south, east, or west of here and can fall off the back of a truck, it'll fall off the back here. I mean, look how good we do when transients set up local businesses. 2 of them are running for council this year.
Candidate Dumanowski.
Thank you. Attracting business and retaining business go hand in hand. The fact of the matter is small business is a microcosm of a medium business and big business. But the fact is we have to create a climate that supports business. We have to get out of the way, reduce the red tape. I know that's a famous line, but we have to let business be business. And one of the things I think we can improve is looking at our tax incentive opportunities. It wasn't that many years ago that we couldn't do that. We heard that from people over and over and over. Now we have the opportunity to create tax incentives, brownfield development incentives. The other evening and tonight, I'm sure it will come up, off-site levies. Finding a balanced approach when it comes to that, when it comes to the residential, non-residential tax ratio, making sure that we keep it fair, keep the burden as fair as possible so that business can thrive in our community.
Thank you. Candidate Speck.
I think one of the most important things we can do for existing business and new business is look at what we're doing within City Hall to remove red tape, especially in our permitting department. So I'd like to look at what we are doing above and beyond what's required by law to make it easier for businesses to come here and grow and become established. I also think this is important for existing businesses. I'd like to share a little story about offsite levies. About 4 years ago, my husband and I wanted to develop a piece of land that had been vacant for about 2 decades. We approached the city, we said, here's our plan. We'd like to put a kids' play place here. It will be a warehouse style, we'll have 6 party rooms, et cetera, et cetera. And the city came back and said, that's a great plan, we love it, but you're gonna have to pay $68,000 in offsite levies, you're gonna have to put in 2 manholes, and you're also gonna have to do X, Y, and Z. So before that project got off the ground, we were $100,000 into that project. So if we can come up with creative solutions for offsite levies, I think that would appeal to new and existing businesses.
Thank you. Candidate Moritz.
we are currently in a population crisis. Between 2003 and 2013, 12,000 people moved here. Between 2013 and 2024, 11. Not 1,100, not 11,000, 11 people. And how we change that is going out and beating the bushes. We have to go to every business conference, to every business person in Alberta. We have to get out there. We have to meet them face to face. Business happens here. It happens face to face, not online. It doesn't happen with a phone call. We have to invite everybody to come. We have to show them what a great place we are. And we are. If we don't do that, and expecting people to come up to the door, when they're there, what we have to say is, how can we help you? What can we do for you to make you come here? How can we help you create your business? How can we help you go through all the red tape or get rid of the red tape?
Thank you. You looked at the clock better than I did.
I was flabbergasted.
Yeah, you just like stopped. That was awesome. Everybody take note. No, I'm just kidding.
You told us that we had to stop.
Yeah, you're very obedient. Your wife probably likes you more than mine likes me.
Good luck with that.
Candidate Toth.
When it comes to small business, I think they need to feel they've got a city council and a mayor who's behind them that gives them the power to open the businesses. They need to make it quicker for permits so it doesn't take months. You can get permits going quicker. And I think you need one department that comes in, you go to see one department and you can do the one-stop shop and get all your permits done and all the information you need to move forward. Thanks.
Thank you. Candidate Fedoruk.
Did I do that right? Okay. We have a great quality of life here in Medicine Hat. We have a great, agreeable climate. We do have low utilities, and we do have great amenities here. We need to promote those assets, and we could also emphasize the fact that this is a great place for seniors to come, and promote that as well. Also, we have a lot of derelict properties, homes, warehouses that are sitting empty and need to be taken down, and something needs to be developed on those spots. We could do that by partnerships, by investments, by incentives, but it will also create work within the community to get rid of these places that are eyesores that'll more beautify our city.
Thank you. Candidate Varga.
As a small business owner in Medicine Hat, I think it's important that we look at things from within. We have to worry about our own people, our own businesses that are in the community. We have to, and I'm glad that Robert said that there might be incentives out there for businesses trying to expand, trying to hire new people, trying to do new things, and I'm glad to hear that that might be happening within the city. So I hope that we can bring some of that to fruition when the new council comes into place. The businesses in town are very important, and just hearing last week that there's a couple more that are going by the wayside again is not good news. I think it's a struggling time for people in Medicine Hat and businesses in Medicine Hat, so I think we've got to look after our own house first, which is looking after our community and all the businesses that are in our community, and hopefully we can help them out be better and get out there and sell more stuff.
Thank you. Candidate Campbell.
I'm not going to tell you my good ideas today, but I got a lot of them. Yeah. But what I'm going to do is identify the problem, and this is what council should do. We have economic development organization in town. It's called Invest Medicine Hat. I believe they changed their name to Medicine Hat Economic Development. They're the ones who are our liaison. They're the ones who are supposed to attract business. These are the ones we give money to do this. Invest Medicine Hat only has to talk with one person, and that's the CAO. That's where the buck stops. So the problem is, where are we sending our money? How is it getting done? We need to instruct our CAO to get Invest Medicine Hat to bring people here. Now, if they need resources, we need to give it to them. We have the infrastructure. We have the liaison. Let's use it. Let's use it.
Thank you. Candidate Schaefer.
Before I commit to, like the other ideas, reducing offsite levies, incentives, those kind of things, we need to get our house in order in terms of our spending. We need to get our budgets more strategic, more accurate. They need to be longer, like 5 years, so we have a plan in place for infrastructure that needs upgrades, maintenance, the costs that are coming in the future. It points us in the right direction of how much money we can spend moving forward. Otherwise, we're just going to have to raise taxes again and raise taxes again because we're out of money. Businesses do their homework. They look at communities and they want strong amenities, strong infrastructure for them to move to and set up business in. They see what we're going through, and we need to get our house in order first. Then we can focus on business and possible incentives, whatever it takes to look after our current businesses and the ones to come.
Thank you. Candidate Hale.
Thank you. I like this question. I was recently talking to a business owner who does business across Western Canada, and I asked him, what struggles do we have here in Medicine Hat? He was trying to do business in Medicine Hat. I said, Medicine Hat's small thinking. You got to think big and be creative. And I think there's so many good creative solutions. I like the one-stop shop. I like the concierge service. He told me of Olds, where you go in and they'll bring you in and they'll say, hey, come check it out. We got great weather. We got great people here. We got a great size. We have this and we have that. And let me show you where you need to apply for this. Let me show you, talk to this person to do this, and I'll walk you through these steps. I think those are all great ideas. I talked to another developer that's been trying to come to Medicine Hat for 4 years, and he said he just found out of a program that would have been awesome to know 4 years ago when he was coming here, a tax abatement program. I think there's so many creative solutions, and I hope to be a part of some of those ideas and brainstorming to help improve Medicine Hat.
Thank you. Candidate Coons.
Talking to developers, businesses, local and outside of Medicine Hat, there's a few things that I have learned. And one of the things is we need to start getting out of business's way, cleaning up our processes, making it so they don't have to wait 2 years to find out if they can buy the property behind their business to expand. And coming from the outside, incentives are great if they're incentives that actually incentivize. Us telling a business what they get free gift with purchase when they move to Medicine Hat doesn't mean anything to them if it's not of value to them. So we need to start having cleaner conversations. Internally, small business organizations and such in Medicine Hat, what I've learned, we need to stop competing with them. We need to, as a municipality, we should not be competing with our local businesses. So we need to also, in another term of get out of their way, we should be promoting our own businesses within the community.
Thank you. Candidate Reinish.
Thank you, Aaron. In the animal kingdom, it's called presenting. When you see a peacock with its feathers out, it's presenting. When you go to a bar on a Friday night and the man looks really nice and the woman is dressed up, it's called presenting. When you've got a community as great as Medicine Hat, that is in the midst of as much sunshine as we get, that is in the midst of the highways that we are, you need to be presenting at all times. We need to present ourselves better to more businesses and get them interested in Medicine Hat by seeing what we have here, by showing them, by telling them, by explaining it to them, by making it their one and only destination. There's a bunch of tech companies that will soon be moving into big, tall buildings in Calgary. Why can't they be moving into Medicine Hat? We need to spend more time talking with these industries, with these businesses, and we need to continue to be presenting ourselves to them.
Thank you. I was really looking forward to hear what candidate Orge was thinking in his head as he was laughing while Dan was saying that. But yeah, I don't know if we want to know in this forum. But topic number 3. So this question is based on building healthy communities. So businesses and residents have an increased concern about addictions, crime, and property damage. Within that question, I think it's appropriate to clarify as well is that we have to remember what's a federal issue and what we can do municipally. So remember that in your answers. But what direction do you believe the city should take in addressing these complex issues in Medicine Hat? And we'll start with candidate Coons.
Well, thanks. So as part of a candidacy, I would hope that we're all doing the same education of our knowledge, speaking to our social services. What we need to do as a community is, as a municipality, is we need to advocate for them. We need to advocate to the province for our addictions management, our mental health, our homelessness. These are provincial issues, and we're not supporting our organizations if we're not advocating for them. That is a huge role that we need to play. And again, back with my comment about business and asking what they need of us, we need to be able to not decide what we need to do. We need to ask them what they need us to do. And that's the only way we're going to grow the support that they need. And whether that's financial support, programs, and community initiatives, is making sure that we advocate for them.
Thank you. Candidate Schaefer.
When it comes to the homeless situation in Medicine Hat, we've looked at a number of options. We've tried to place these shelters in different neighborhoods, different areas of town. As a community, we need to bond together, get together, realize that there's not 100% perfect solution out there. But we need to, as a community, as a city council, work together and find a resolution to it that has the least amount of impact. And we need to get on with this because it's a very needed thing. The unfortunate part is, and I don't blame anybody, I don't want that in my neighborhood, and then it moves over somewhere else, and I don't want that in my neighborhood. As a community, we need to work together and realize that sometimes it's a give and take, and there's safeguards that you can put in. We need to come together as a community on this.
Thank you. Candidate Dumanowski.
Yeah, there's no doubt that the unhoused and homeless issue has created a lot of concern for our community. Certainly we show a lot of empathy for that vulnerable population, but at the same time, we can't sit back and do nothing. I'm on the police commission, and one of the opportunities that the police have certainly exercised is creating a downtown patrol team, expanding their hours and putting more members on the streets to work with this vulnerable sector. We have to work with the province, who ultimately owns this issue, and establish, and certainly they've had conversations with council about establishing a navigation center similar to what Edmonton and Calgary have done, but obviously on a smaller scale. Essentially what that would mean is all the services are congregated in one area. The tough question is finding that place. Where do we put this? But we're going to continue to work hard with our partners and find a solution.
Thank you. Candidate Varga.
Well, this issue always seems to come up, and sometimes it's tough to hit the nail on the head when things are happening so fast around us. The problem with this is that the municipality is structured in such a way that we can only help the social services with a place to house these homeless people and give them the opportunity to eat and sleep. And unfortunately for us, we depend on the social services providers and also the police to help us out with these problems. And sometimes it's just overwhelming where people really don't want the help. So that's where we run into trouble, where if the people don't want the help, then they seem to keep on reoffending, and getting into that. So we have to make sure that they get into those places and get the help that they need as fast as they can get it done, and hopefully they come out clean.
Thank you. Candidate Moritz.
You deserve a place to be safe, and that's not now. Every place in Medicine Hat, there are homeless, there is drug addiction, there is petty crime, whether you're downtown where it's most common or if you're in any of the outskirts, there is crime. To do for us, what we should be doing is focusing on police services, making sure that they have enough resources to at least keep it under control. Drug addiction and mental health issues belong to the province. They belong to health. We need to lean on them to provide those kind of services here. As a group, as a city, is a problem that's unsolvable. If we could solve it, we could bottle it, we could give it away to every jurisdiction in the world, but we can't. What we have to do is be compassionate with the people that are here and try to ensure that they don't freeze to death in the evening, right?
Thank you. Candidate Speck.
Number one, we need permanent shelter services. The shelter has been moved multiple times, which I don't think benefits anybody, especially the at-risk population. We should be advocating 100% to the provincial government about what works and what doesn't for Medicine Hat and its community. And when I talk about community, I talk about everybody, not just businesses or residents, but also our homeless population and our homeless community. We also need somewhere where they can be offered wraparound services, that they can be offered second stage housing. But again, number one, because the province decides who the provider is, we need, and where shelter services go, we need to be advocating to the provincial government about what is working for our community and what isn't, and also working with our community partners to make sure that the province decided provider is working with our local organizations to make sure everybody has what they need.
Thank you. Candidate Campbell.
The question being addictions, crime, and property damage is the proper question, because homelessness, if you're homeless in Medicine Hat, we have services here. They'll house you, they'll feed you, they'll clothe you, they'll even get you a pardon to get a job. We have that service in Medicine Hat right now. But the addiction, crime, and property damage, that all goes hand in hand. And the unhousable is a term that is used within the police department and around the Medicine Hat, and it's a legitimate term, because it's people who don't want to be housed. They don't want the help. So we have to try to figure out how to help them even when they don't want it. Petty crime is fueling the addiction, so we need to take a tough approach sometimes. And I know it's hard to hear that, but we need a tough approach in Medicine Hat right now. I truly believe that. The homelessness, like I said, is one issue, but it's the addiction and crime on our streets that we need to solve.
Thank you. Candidate Toth.
When it comes to the crime, I think we need to get to the police force, task force. They need to find out where they're stealing the stuff, where it's going to, and who's selling it, where they're selling to and making the money. If we can eliminate that edge of who's selling it and making the money, we could probably cut down the crime, because they won't have nowhere to take the stuff that they're selling. That would probably help the crime somewhat. When it comes to the homeless and the drug addiction, that's $1 million question. It's in every community. I think that we need to work with other communities to see what they're doing and how they're handling it. Most of these people, they need help. They need a reason to go on with life so they can get help and be back out onto and get a job. They need a reason to live, and I don't think they have one when they're living on the streets, so we need to give them one.
Thank you. Candidate Fedork.
My position is from a viewpoint of a social worker, a probation officer, and a counselor. We have to look at our city 4 years from now. If it stays the same as it is now, and we do what we've done up till now, in 4 years' time, we'll have fewer businesses, we'll have it'd be very difficult to attract other businesses to come to our city. It won't be pretty. And not to say there will also be a consequence of higher taxes, higher utilities. This is what happens when things fall apart. We have a solution. We want the people that are addicted to get help off the street. We want the criminals in jail. And we want those that are unhoused, we want to give them a hand up, not a handout. We do that by passing stronger bylaws.
Candidate Hill.
Thank you. I recently heard the saying that you can pretend to care, but you can't pretend to show up. And I know some current counselors are amazing at this. They show up to everything, and I want to be like that. I know that we have amazing organizations in our town that do amazing work. And I try, even though I haven't won the Root Cellars Amazing Race yet, I'm trying. But we want to be a part of those conversations. I want to be there. I want to talk to them. I want to know how we can help. And unless we're having those open dialogue, that positive conversation, and building those relationships, it'll be hard to solve any problem if we're not informed about the problem. I also want to quickly mention our youth. I deal with youth every day, and if we're looking towards the future, we have to look at them and support them. It's tough for them, and they're awesome, but we are in good hands going forward. Thanks.
Thank you, Candidate Reinish.
Mental health, thank you, Aaron, is one of the platforms that I'm specifically running on. And it is my belief that in the city of Medicine Hat, that those who want help can get help. The Women's Shelter Society is there for people. Medicine Hat Community Housing is there for people. There are just some people that don't want help. My godmother used to say, you can throw somebody a life preserver, but that doesn't mean they're going to take it. And that's why it was good news this afternoon when the city of Medicine Hat announced that they were not proceeding with the current location of the mustard seed, because we need to make sure that the areas and buildings and facilities that are going to be put in place to help people are actually where they can access them. And also, we need to spend more time working with the homeless and the people who are out there stealing and doing what they're doing. They're not doing it because they want to, they're doing it because they feel they have to. We need to find a way to give these people something that they can call their own.
Thank you, Candidate. Candidate Orge.
Every once in a while on Monday mornings, I go down to the courthouse and I watch the arraignments. Weird hobby, I know, but a free show is a free show. And I can tell you from experience that crime and homelessness are completely different things. Last night I went down to Veterans Memorial Park because I realized I hadn't actually talked to anybody who lived down there. And this is a joke I've told for 4 years. It's never gotten a laugh, but there but for the grace of meth go I. And okay, got a laugh for once. And the thing is, we have a solution, we know it works. It's housing first. Do you know what some of the first complaints I got from the folks at the park was? That someone stole their ID and then they had to spend years proving that they were who they were. That process gets cut way shorter if they have an address. Medicine Hat has used housing first to be successful. I stopped by the mustard seed, or not the mustard seed, the root cellar this morning to get some accurate numbers. 4,000 people use the mustard seed every month. 11,000 different children have used it.
Move on to topic number 4. So our final topic will round out the conversation, focusing on how you will implement sound financial strategies for the city to achieve financial sustainability while balancing service delivery and capital requirements, all while maintaining fair tax levels. Was that too wordy? It was? Do you need me to read it again? Like I got it. I can memorize it right now. They said it?
They said
yes. They're not the ones answering the questions.
Get on with it.
Okay. So focusing on how you will implement sound financial strategies for the city to achieve financial sustainability while balancing service delivery and capital requirements, all while maintaining fair taxation levels. So we'll start with Emmanuel Moritz.
The city of Medicine Hat spends a ton of money. We spend $450 million every year. What we need to do, most of that money in the last couple of years has gone into reserves. We have $700 million worth of reserves, something we can lean on in the tough times, which are now. It's a rainy day. We need to ensure that that money that's put away for some future citizenry is being used now for the people that live here right now. Sustainability means that taxation is low. It means that we can use those funds that are already here to ensure that you pay less taxes. You have certainty when that tax bill comes to you on May 20th or whenever it comes. It's certainty that you're going to look at it and not say, oh, my taxes went up $100 or $500 or $1,000. The city has the ability to use all the money that they have for you and not just to put into reserves.
Thank you. One thing to clarify, I know I joked about the question a little bit, but but I think a little bit there that it's important to remember too is that when you look at sound financial strategies, the city is required to balance their budget, right? It has to be done. We can't run a deficit. So the reason the question is important is, you balance service delivery as well as capital requirements. If we don't have money, we can't deliver services, those sorts of things, right? So it's, yeah, it is a complex question. And then what do we do with taxation? So, not trying to steal the time on that, but yeah, that's the reason that the question is complex, is because of the mandatory requirement to balance that budget. Stephen Campbell.
Okay, well, this is where the business degree comes in on me. So, like, sound financial strategies is something you're supposed to have. So we got to stop the spending where we're not needing it. We need a proper budget and not amend it all the time. Financial stability comes with a proper budget. If we're going over our budget all the time and adding things into our budget, we're never going to have financial stability. We need to pinch a little bit for a little while and get ourselves stable. Fair taxation levels will come once this one's a hard one because taxation is something nobody likes, of course. So what's the fair level? And the fair level is how we are succeeding in the city. So if our taxes are, say, 5% and we're doing really good, we should be able to find a way to bring our taxes down and not keep bringing them up when we're doing good. At the same time, if we're not doing good, can we find something without raising taxes?
Dan Reinish.
Thank you, Aaron. I am the son of a proud military man. My father served this country in the Canadian military for 27 years. And when we moved back to Canada from Germany, we had previously lived in an apartment, and we had now had to start turning the lights off. You can't just leave the stereo on when you're in your room. You can't just leave the lights on when you're in your room. Everything costs more in this day and age. It's a horrible reality. What used to cost us $30 in the grocery store now costs as much as 60 or 80, if not 90. And that's why, in order to continue to stretch your dollar, maybe we just need to continue to do something as simple as turn the lights out when you are done in a room, or don't leave your computer on when you're not using it. It's sometimes just as simple as that. As far as taxation, the current council has done a great job of putting taxation together for the next couple of years, but we do need to find a way. Nobody likes to pay taxes, but how are you going to pay for things?
David Toth.
First of all, I think that every department needs to have a budget and work to come under budget at the end of the year and get rid of the use it or lose it model at the end of the year. We need viability for every company and business in the city. We need to work with our MLAs to help bring industry to the city, or businesses with agricultural, aerospace, energy, whatever it may be. Medicine Hat's in the corner of 3 highways. It's a perfect opportunity to bring business to the city. And we're a friendly environment. We've got skilled workers, and promote that Medicine Hat is actually open for business. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Don Fedoruk.
We can draw up a pretty good budget, and if we can get some growth and have strong businesses operating in our city and downtown, we'll be able to have some extra money for some of the wants. Of course, we need to function on the needs. How do we get business to come here and strengthen the existing businesses? If we enforce our vagrancy laws, and if we pass some strong bylaws, our downtown situation will look a lot better, and we can attract the business that will, and the people that'll bring the income that'll help our budgets, make our budgets sustainable. And there's some nice wants on the table, a rec center in the south. There's a lot of things that are wants, but first, our seniors have to be taken care of, and then the wants can come in.
Thank you, Don. Kirby Schaefer.
I've basically said this from day one of my running for council. We need to get back to a needs versus wants when it comes to budgets. We need to look after our infrastructure our parks, our sewers, our roads, all our vital infrastructure that we need. Once we've done that, with accurate strategic budgets, we need to create 5-year budgets. And the 5-year budget isn't necessarily accurate, but what it does is it gives you a roadmap of what's coming up, what expenses are coming up in the future, rather than surprise, we've got this huge expense this year, taxes are going up, or do we dip into reserves? It gives you a roadmap. And we also used to do 5, 10, and 15% reduction budgets at the same time to be ready to adapt when we needed to. How does it affect service levels? You need to have those strategic budgets in place.
Thank you. Caleb Orge?
How many times can you tighten your belt before you break your back? Medicine Hat took 2 to the chest when we gave ourselves 2 years of 0% tax increases over COVID. I know inflation has been 20% total over the last 5 years. I feel it the same as everybody else. But part of the reason why Hirsch isn't running, if you saw his open letter, is because he's been doing 8 years of financially fit. When the banker says there's nothing left to cut, guys, there's nothing left to cut unless you want to start taking fingers. We need to start really thinking about, do we start cutting services we need to keep, or do we pay what it costs in order to have a city worth living in? And I know that that's not a pleasant thing to think about, but we can't keep fooling ourselves. The plan in the existing budget is to spend 15% of our reserves over the next 10 years. A 3-year hold would spend another 2%. That's the difference between 60 years and 40. The next one, who knows?
Candidate Coons?
We keep hearing the phrase, we have to get our house in order, and I don't know about the rest of you, but when times are tough and money is tight, the first thing you do is start to lean out. And I think that's probably would be a good direction I would like to see us go in the beginning, is take a grand look at our expenditures and lean out small things so we don't notice a big loss. And I'm not talking about taking everybody in the administration down to 3 squares. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that we need to collectively gain back stuff that we're maybe expending or spending too much on, whether it's subscriptions in every department. Like there's so many things we can lean out on a smaller level, and then once we have an actual snapshot of what we're spending versus excessive spending, then we can start to look at what bigger things we may have to remove or cut. And then it gives us a little bit of time then to understand if the cuts are too valuable to lose, and then where do we take from the reserves if we have to.
Thank you. Robert Dumanowski.
Thank you. A sound financial strategy, of course, starts with fundamentally separating your wants from your needs. We've heard that as well. Creative solutions, partnerships with regional communities. One of the first decisions I ever made on council was the construction of this very building. Co-op center, other partnerships with our neighboring municipalities. A service delivery review is currently underway, and that doesn't mean a lot to many people, but it means that every department is being looked at and scrutinized for manpower, human resource, and cost. And that data, when it comes back, will help us determine and prioritize workforce management with new development and new spending. But fundamentally, in the end, we have to balance everything out with a growing tax base, and really, in the end, that's what we need to do.
Thank you. Brian Varga.
I'm glad you're ahead of me, Robert, because that's the inside scoop as to what's happening in City Hall. So taxes are a way of life, and if we are going to reduce taxes, like most want to, or hold taxes at the level that it's at right now, we have to give something up. And what is that we're going to give up? Nobody in this community likes to give up anything. But in the future, some things are going to have to be given up in order to reach that budget. Unfortunately, it's not a great thing. We can't keep going into our reserves to try and fend off things that are inevitable. Our infrastructure that we do all the time is far times better than most municipalities do within Alberta. And we're very lucky that we can go underground. It's not sexy work, but it's stuff that has to be done because some of the pipes are 100 years old. So unfortunately, we have to give up something in order to have low taxes.
Thank you. Kirsten Speck.
Number one is we need new industry because we need to increase our tax base so we increase our revenue for the city. I think we should probably have a comprehensive review of the budget. I'm going to echo the same thing that many candidates said tonight. It's a needs versus wants, but we're also in an affordability crisis right now. I don't know if freezing taxes is possible, but I think a 5.6% increase every year over the next 3 years in the current economy is excessive. If there's anything we can be doing within the budget to lessen that burden on residents right now, we should be doing it.
Thank you, candidate. Brock Hill.
Thank you. This is one that, as I talk to people out and about through meet and greets around the streets, this one is hard for people right now in Medicine Hat. It's tough. And I don't think the tax increase of 5 or 6% is acceptable, to be honest. I don't know everything about taxes, but I am a math teacher and I know numbers, and I know that that's tough. But if we can increase that tax base, like Kirsten was saying, I think we can find ways to not have to increase taxes so much year after year. I also want to say that I think this is going to take a lot of teamwork and communication between council and administration to get those numbers, to find those places where we can save money. I like the conversation of needs versus wants, but also what do we value? To me, one of the things I value is, like I've said, our youth and recreation and that fitness and health. And I think that Southside Rec Center is something for me that's a need. Thanks.
Thank you. So we'll now invite our candidates to make their closing statements. We ask that each candidate keep this to 1.5 minutes. And we will go in reverse order of what we started. So we'll start with Brian.
I had my mic on to start with. 44 years ago, I came to Medicine Hat. I wasn't a really loved person at that time, but in 1981, I was a member of the Regina Pats, and Tiger fans didn't like me very much when I came to town. So that year, 1981, I got traded to Medicine Hat, and lo and behold, I've been here for 44 years now. So obviously, people like me, and I'm glad that they did, because this is a great community. Over the years, of those 44 years, I've been part of the Medicine Hat Hockey Hounds, which is an organization to promote minor hockey. I've been a member for over 30 years now. I've been a member of the Canadian Badlands when I was in council, the tourism organization. I was the chairman of that. I was also the chairman of the Municipal Planning Commission when I was on council. So I've done a few things in this community. I'm also the chair of the 2026 Special Olympic Canada Games that is coming to Medicine Hat next August. So we're very proud of that accomplishment. Sports tourism hasn't been talked about tonight, but it's a huge industry in Medicine Hat. Anytime we can host a tournament to host teams coming in from out of town, it's an economic benefit for our community. So I'm hoping that you guys will vote Varga for the future of council.
Thank you. Dave?
One thing I will bring is a conservative, common sense approach. I will bring 100% dedication. I do believe this is a full-time job, not a part-time job. Every job that we can bring to Medicine Hat, whether it's small business, big business, contributes to our tax base, which is going to help relieve our taxes. I would like to see us to be able to freeze our taxes in the second, third, fourth year possibly. I mean, I'd love to see another facility like Goodyear move to Medicine Hat and bring 200 manufacturing jobs in. That's very huge for the tax base, which of course is, like I said, is going to relate to bringing our taxes hopefully to a stop for a few years. So, I mean, I want a place where I can have my kids can stay here, my grandkids can stay here, they can have jobs, buy houses, raise a family, and stay here. I mean, I'm a true family man. I want my families to stay here where we can have all that. So, thank you.
Thank you. Kirsten?
Let's try this again, shall we? So my name is Kirsten Speck. I've been in business here for 10 years. My husband has been in business here for 20 years. We started buying property down on North Railway in 2019, and I like to think we started what we like to refer to as the North Railway revival. So we have spent the last 5 years championing small business and supporting specifically female entrepreneurs. I do come with some board experience. The board experience I have is the Southeast Chamber of Commerce and Community Futures Entrecourt. My plan is to bring a balanced approach to City Hall, as well as looking at what we can do to increase our tax base so we're increasing the revenue for the city. We also need to be looking at, another reason we also need to be looking at new industry here is how are we keeping our young people here? Most of the next generation goes to school and they're forced to move because there isn't a lot of opportunity here. So I think we need to focus on everything we can do to keep the next generation here, to keep Medicine Hat growing and thriving. Thank you.
Thank you. Kirby?
As a city councillor, my primary job is governance. And under governance, we listen to the people, we hear their concerns, we hear what their needs, their wants are, what keeps them up at night. And from that, as a council, we need to create a clear vision statement that encapsulates what the community is looking for, what it wants, and points us in that direction so we can get there. Now, this is very important because it not only reminds us the decisions we're making, we base that off of the vision statement to ensure we're doing the right thing. It reminds our employees that this is the direction we're going in. It reminds the community it's the direction we're going in. But it also reminds businesses that aren't in Medicine Hat, they see our vision statement and they see the direction we're going. And so it should be on our website. First thing you see, it should be in every entrance to every city facility and building. You see that vision statement. And it should be like, it's a roadmap for us to follow and to ensure that we never lose sight of what we're working towards. We need to do that because I don't see that on our website, and I don't even know what our mission and vision is.
Thank you. Dan?
My name is Dan Reinisch, and I'm here tonight because I want to be a councillor in Medicine Hat. I'm running for Medicine Hat City Council because I believe in Medicine Hat. I'm partially up here tonight because a billionaire couldn't make money running a business in Medicine Hat to inform you about the news and what was going on. And that's a big thing. The majority of the people who were let go from Chat TV have all decided to continue to stay in Medicine Hat. Well, what keeps people in Medicine Hat? How do we get people to move here and stay here? Well, we need to bring in more concerts. We need to bring in better shows. We need to give people things to do. And that's why we might need to start thinking a little bit broader and a little bit bigger. For instance, everybody keeps telling me that they would like to see a pool or an aquatic center in the southern part of Medicine Hat. Well, why doesn't the city work with the university to build not just an aquatic center, but a wave park, a water pool that tourists could stop in Medicine Hat and spend the day with their family in the pool and then eat dinner in Medicine Hat and spend time in our city? I believe in Medicine Hat. I believe in staying here and working on behalf of you, and with your vote on October 20th, I will be working on Medicine Hat City Council. Because, as I said, I believe in Medicine Hat, and I'm hoping that you'll put me to work for you.
Thank you. Caleb?
Hey, I'm Caleb Borge, and I'm running for 8th place. Sorry, Brian. The fact of the matter is, my parents, Clayton and Irene, brought me here when I was 13 days old, and I've been here in Medicine Hat and Redcliffe for 40 of my 41 years. I plan to be here for 40 of my 41 more. And I want a city that's going to be here when I'm still here. I know I'm a stand-up. I know that while Dan could probably book me to be a city booster when he gets elected, I want to be on council because there is something that a stand-up can offer to this city. The structure of a joke works because a punchline is a third piece of information that makes the first two that went together seem strange. And there needs to be more people on council who can look at the information they're given and realize when it seems strange, when they're being fed a line. And we deserve a wide open set of representation and a wide open set of views on city council. I don't know what else to say. Caleb Borge on Facebook, like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, all those other things you hear a million times that we're going to be hearing more and more in politics. Because the fact of the matter is, everybody here's vote matters. There are 8 votes each of you have for council and 39 people who all want them. I just want your 8th. Have a nice day.
Emmanuel?
Hey. I've worked in construction all of my life. First as a site employee, and then as a small business owner. If you want to be a success in small business, you have to do three things. You have to have good financial background, you have to have strategic planning, and you have to have collaboration. Construction is the ultimate collaboration. You've got a bunch of different trades working for the same goal. And that goal is to finish this particular job so it's the perfect thing for that new owner. That is the essence of council. A bunch of different people, different views, different skills, working for the benefit of the citizens of Medicine Hat. The things that we have to look at, we have to have a pro-growth agenda. We are drowning. We need to ensure that there's jobs, there's new companies coming in so our grandchildren can stay here and their children can stay here. And that's not happening. We have to talk about freezing taxes, despite the fact that I've been slapped for that. Freezing taxes make up only 20% of the budget. So a small freeze here and there. What we should do perhaps is quit paying consultants. We have a great staff. Let's lean on them. Let's make sure that we use their talents. I was on the MPC for 10 years, 2 terms on the Medicine Hat Catholic Board of Education, gives me insight into how the government works. I think that I can bring you that skill. If you vote for me, I will work hard, I will be disciplined, and I will make this city a better place.
Thank you. Pamela?
All of the topics we've discussed tonight are all representative of challenges that we have in Medicine Hat, but they also have reflections on each other. We can't fix one without seeing that there's another challenge that grows deeper with the other. All solutions have side effects. I look forward to working through those challenges. I have strength, innovation, and I'm a hard worker. I love this city. I've chosen to keep my family here. I hope they stay here, but I have young adults that see the challenges that we have with the economy right now, and honestly, some of the challenges that are right here in Medicine Hat. This is my introduction to council. I intend on retiring here, so if I get blessed with 1 term, I hope it turns into 3. So I'm in it for the long game. I don't just see your future and how I can help it. I see my future and my children's future and my grandchildren's future. I have the personal and professional availability to dedicate full time to this position. And I've taken the time and effort to prepare myself. I did not just wake up one day and decide that this was something I should do. I have worked on this for a long time. And I do intend on working for the residents of Medicine Hat, and I hope you get the chance to see what I can do. So please vote for me on October 20th.
Thank you. Brock?
Thanks, Aaron, and thank you to the Chamber for hosting this, and I thank you to all of you for coming to this. I hope this was productive. I hope you got to know me as a person and as a candidate. I hope you got to know all of us. I know with 39 candidates, it can be a daunting, almost impossible seeming task to know how to navigate this, but I hope you leave feeling positive and optimistic about the future of Medicine Hat. I know I will. Someone recently described me using the term WYSIWYG, and I had never heard it before, but apparently it means what you see is what you get. And that's how it is with me. I don't have a hidden agenda. I'm honest, I'm genuine, I'm passionate, and I care. A wise man, Dr. Seuss, once said, "Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care." And this really resonates with me as a father and as a teacher. And I want you to know I do care. I care about Medicine Hat, and I care about you. I don't know everything, as we've seen here tonight, but I'm willing to admit that. And I'm willing to admit mistakes, and I'm willing to learn, and I'm eager and excited to learn. I'm also willing to roll up my sleeves and do the work needed to help serve this community and to serve you, the residents. Thank you, and I hope to have your support come October 20th. Thanks.
Thank you, Brock. Don?
I've been married for 16 years, and I got to tell you, last night, I got my wife to laugh. I told her that my life actually mirrors Division Avenue. The road is straight, but the journey is twisted. I have the good fortune of belonging to a martial arts class, Taekwondo, last few years. I've been going there with my 3 children. They get a chance to kick and punch me. My 14-year-old daughter, you want to be careful. And it's actually good training for being a counselor. If you wanted to be a counselor, just bring your protective headgear and away you go. But I've also had the good fortune to be at 3 banquets where they hand out trophies, one for above and beyond, one for excellence. But what's woven into that Taekwondo class is respect. And that's what I see with the students: respect for one another, respect for their parents, respect for their masters that teach them, and respect for their country. When this council is formed, I hope to see that respect in that council. And hopefully, looking back from 2029, that they say, these were our rewards, excellence, and above and beyond for what we did in 4 years.
Robert?
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming out this evening. Thank you to the Chamber for sponsoring this forum. I would like to encourage you to check out Apple News. They recently had an article highlighting and naming Medicine Hat 3rd out of 79 communities top choice in Canada. Check it out. If I'm given the honor and privilege to be re-elected as City Councillor once again, I promise to use my knowledge, my leadership, and my experience to be a strong, proven voice on your behalf around the council table. I commit to you today to safeguard our public utilities, maintain and enhance our recreational opportunities, stimulate economic growth to ensure that good-paying jobs come to Medicine Hat, and that we maintain excellent public services and relationships with all our employees, City Hall, police, fire, and even the Zamboni driver. With at least 5 new members joining council, I believe that my knowledge and experience will be valuable during the next 4 years. If re-elected, it'd be a great honor to represent the citizens of Medicine Hat once again around the table. So I ask that on Monday, October 20th, you consider a vote for me to help shape this future with you together. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And finally, Stephen Campbell.
Again, I'm Stephen Campbell, and I want to apply for the job as City Councillor. I'll tell you what my pet peeve is. Anybody that tells me it's a federal or provincial problem, I want to make it a municipal problem, and I vow I will do that. Anytime somebody says that to me, I'll make it a municipal problem. I'll bring sound business and governance practice to Medicine Hat. I'm not scared to take on the utilities and stabilize it for the future. I will set goals and objectives for economic growth. And that means with Invest Medicine Hat, who are there for us. And if we need to expand that, we will. We'll bring the economy up. I will work to give you a safe and secure city. And that means if we need to bring in more police, set more bylaws, whatever we need to do, we'll give you a safe, secure city. And I will work to bring the cost of living down. It might not be overnight. Give me a little time. I'll do it. Overall, I want to make sure that the sunny city of Medicine Hat in the forgotten corner shines bright again. So if you agree with that, vote Campbell. Thank you.
Thank you. If you can all join me in a round of applause for our candidates and thank them for being here. So with that, this concludes session 1. We'll quickly shift the stage and then we'll continue with session 2. So take a quick 10-minute break. We're about 5 minutes over with a 10-minute break, but take that break and please, if the mayoral candidates can head to the green room at this time. Can I get everybody to, I know that's a quick little intermission, but please come in and take your seats and we'll get into the mayoral portion of this election forum here right away. All right, so while the last few of you are taking your seats, if I can just ask you to quiet down a little bit and we'll start into this. So, welcome back. If I stop talking, will you stop talking? Okay. Welcome back. This session will provide us the opportunity to hear from our mayoral candidates for the City of Medicine Hat as they explain their positions on a variety of issues facing our city, while also explaining their qualifications and experience that have led them to vie for a position to help lead our city. Our mayoral candidates will have up to 3 minutes to make an opening statement before we proceed into the question and debate portion of tonight's event. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to make a closing statement at the end of the program. Please continue to refrain from participating in the forum in any way other than by quiet observation, and please hold any applause or comments until the end of the forum. Any interruptions will lessen the time that we have available, as I said earlier, and if you have a cell phone with you, please put it on silent. You can still submit written questions, and if you have a question to submit, please hold up your hand during the forum, and they will be collected by a volunteer of the chamber. Now, without further ado, I'd like to invite the audience. I would like to invite the audience in joining me to welcome the 2025 mayoral candidates for the City of Medicine Hat to the stage. So, Drew Barnes, Lindsay Clark, Annie McGrogan, Alan Rose, and Chris Samraj. So as I had mentioned, let's begin. Each candidate will have 3 minutes to deliver their opening statement, and we'll begin with candidate Barnes.
Oh, thank you very much, Aaron, and special thanks to everyone that's here tonight, and special thanks to the Chamber of Commerce for putting this on. This is absolutely the most consequential election in Medicine Hat's history. We know what a great place this is to live. We know all the opportunity we have. We know all the great things that our neighbors have provided. But my goodness, are we living under our full potential? Are we not reaching every aspect of improving all of our lives that we could? I knew this was a special place when I moved here when I was 13 years old with my mother, my father, and my 5 brothers and sisters. We left Brandon, Manitoba on December 15th, 8 o'clock in the morning. It was minus 15. We arrived in Medicine Hat late afternoon, and it was plus 5. 13-year-old kid, I went looking for my atlas just to see if Medicine Hat and Brandon were really as far north as each other, and they were. But friends, Medicine Hatters, what we've witnessed is a mayor and a council symbolized with chaos, dysfunction, and a real lack of financial discipline that has cost us all opportunity and money. As your mayor, I will stay in my lane. I will participate and work on governance. Strategically, I will create the atmosphere and the culture that will attract business and others to Medicine Hat. I am running on, first of all, more jobs and opportunities for all of us, and especially so our kids and our grandkids can stay here. The mayor of Medicine Hat should be its #1 salesperson, should be the person that goes to Edmonton, Ottawa, Winnipeg, Mississauga, Surrey, and sells Medicine Hat. In order to do that, we need a mayor that shows up, and we need a mayor that understands what needs to happen. I am proposing in order to give us something to sell, and because we've wasted a lot of money on out-of-town reports and out-of-town consultants, because we're so fortunate to make so much money generating electricity, that I will freeze any property tax increases for the next 3 years, and this will dramatically help on the affordability crisis. I've talked to a lot of Medicine Hatters in the last month, and it's sad that about 1/3 of us are really, really hurting. In addition to that, homelessness and crime, with more local solutions to help the homeless and any criminal activity, I will ask our Crown prosecutors and police to crack down on and make it known that Medicine Hat is a safe, fun city.
Thank you, Drew. Candidate Clark.
Hello, my name is Lindsay Clark. I'm the current mayor of Medicine Hat that Drew was referring to. I grew up here and went off to Lethbridge to get my Bachelor's of Science in 2001, and then to Victoria to get my law degree. Worked in Vancouver as a lawyer for about 10 years before I moved back here and started work in the City of Medicine Hat's legal department. And I stayed there until I ran for mayor and became the mayor. Look, I agree that the last few years have been tough. I liken it to you're buying an old house, you're looking to renovate it, start taking the walls down, and there's mold behind those walls. And you have to deal with that mold. And one of the key reasons I wanted to run, it was a difficult decision, but I am concerned that someone is just going to re-drywall over that mold. They're not going to remediate it. They're not going to fix it. And you know, in many ways, the city is kind of stuck in the 80s or 90s. And I think we have, like Drew said, a lot of potential that is untapped because we haven't been moving with the times. And that happens to a lot of large organizations of our age. So I'm not blaming anyone. Corporations or organizations like ours can tend to be a little bit like your wires and cords. Seems like their natural state is tangled. And so you have to really work and be careful to make sure that as time goes on, you're keeping up with those times. We need to be a human-centered city, putting the services that we provide and the people we're providing them to first, instead of bureaucracy first. This is a principle that many private companies have already undertaken quite a while ago. And we need to start doing that as well. Additionally, we need to seek information from our user base, from our residents, so that we can be more responsive and our residents can feel more included. And on that point, I really feel like the city's role is to empower the community groups and individuals that are already doing good things, not try and control everything. So with that, I thank you, and it has been an honor being your mayor, and I hope that you will support me as a candidate.
Thank you, Lindsay. Candidate McGrogan.
Thank you. I'm Andy McGrogan, and I'm running as the chief elected official and for Medicine Hat. I'm honored to do it. I'm honored to actually just run, and I have to tell you that it's been quite a journey to get here today, and I'm totally honored to be here and honored for the opportunity to serve you. When I think of the last 44 years of service in Medicine Hat, I came here in 1979. I joined the police force at the time in 1980 and worked as a police officer for 40 years. Through that 40 years of service, I served Medicine Hat in many different capacities. And my leadership journey, of course, started back at the beginning of my journey. I spent time on our tactical team as the team commander, and during that time, we learned how to deal with high-risk crisis interventions, and it was the preparation that led up to that was so valuable. I went on into different supervisor and leadership roles, eventually got my master's in leadership through Royal Roads University, and eventually became the chief of police in 2008. So from 2008 to 2020, I was your chief of police. I was the longest serving chief of police that I'm aware of in modern history of the police service, and I'm very proud to do that and honored to do it. I learned a lot of great leadership lessons through that time. In 2020, I retired, and during the pandemic, I was walking my dog up and down the alley and said, "Is this it?" And, you know, there was a civic election coming, and I said, you know what, I can serve in a different capacity. And I decided I would run for council. And I've had 4 years as what I call an apprenticeship. So I've had 4 years of training on council. And yes, it's been tumultuous. It's been pointed out already by my folks on the right. But through that tumultuous time, it's been incredible learning about leadership, learning about municipal politics. And I will tell you that through that time, I've also been involved in small business. We started a small business in 1984, so I've signed the front of some paychecks as well, and so I have familiarity with business, and also help with my wife's business, and which is both businesses are still thriving to this day. So I have experience in business, I have experience in leadership, I have experience in council, and I think all those experiences are what we need to move forward. I think my special skill is leadership and collaboration, and what I want to bring to this council is solid leadership. It's not, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. This council, we are going to bring a really good strat plan and a plan forward for our community to thrive in the future. And I think I've learned all the lessons to get us here today. We're at ground zero, and we're going to build a great future, and I'm proud to be part of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andy. Candidate Rose.
Hello, my name's Alan Rose. I came to Medicine Hat about 36 years ago. I was here a year and a half before my wife came, and we brought my wife and children there when we decided we had to move to Medicine Hat because I couldn't get another position in Calgary. And when I did come to Medicine Hat, I found there was a Medicine Hat advantage. And because we had gone through tight times, like I say, both my wife and I got laid off the same week in Calgary. She couldn't find a job, I found a job, but we came to Medicine Hat, and we had struggled at the start, but it allowed us, with the advantage, to get better, and we recovered. And we recovered better than we ever could have believed. But now, none of my children, none of my grandchildren live here because they couldn't get that advantage here. They had to leave for other jobs. And that brought me into looking at the city and what I thought was wrong. And I got involved with the first incarnation of the Medicine Hat Ratepayers Society. And for about 3 years, I was the president of that, and I lobbied, I sent letters in, I lobbied with council, I addressed council a couple times, and we saw not much progress coming on. And I predicted some things the last time I ran that have come true now. We are still losing more industry, and there's certain things that we need. Now, in my experience in industry, like I say, I started work at Alberta Gas Chemicals, then I moved out to Burstall, where I worked as an operator, got into management, got into business development and that with them. And there was a fantastic company I worked for, and you can ask anyone who worked for them, it was Conoco. They spent a lot of time, money, and effort to teach me how to be a team player and a team leader. And I served on many different teams during crisis, during business development. And I learned that as a team leader, you are the facilitator for the rest of the team. Everyone comes from a diverse background on your team, but they all don't speak the same language. A pipe fitter doesn't speak the same language as a lawyer, and they may not speak the same language as an engineer. So it's a team leader's sole job to keep in touch with the other team members and make sure they're up to speed and get them the assistance they need, and make sure we're clear on what we're doing so when we do meet, we are making an informed decision. Some of these people on council, it's going to be a part-time job. They've got other things going on. You can't expect them to put the effort in that you do. But as a full-time member, you can do that. And I believe if we stop fighting each other, we start fighting for each other, as every member of the team becomes successful, and then the city becomes successful. So that's the kind of skills I want to bring back. I've got other ideas on different projects that I think we need done in the city, but I'm here just to help out as much as I can and bring back that advantage so others can keep their children here. So, thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Candidate Samrash.
Hi, my name is Chris. I know that elections can tend to bring out the negative, like we focus on the things that are going wrong. But I spent the last 2 years working as a policy analyst for Alberta municipalities, and I got to travel around the province. I got to see how different cities and towns are dealing with things. And what I learned when I came back here was that there are a lot of things that are going right. The core services that the city provides, the state of our infrastructure is above average. Our fire response is the best in the province. Our police is solid. Definitely, we have things that we're struggling with, but they are the same things that every community is struggling with. So it's not like Medicine Hat is behind the 8 ball. We are at a chamber forum here, so we're going to be talking about economic development. And you know, everybody talks about the Medicine Hat advantage. What is that? What is that Medicine Hat advantage? Are we losing it? I think we do need to talk about some things about what that actually means. I mean, traditionally, the Medicine Hat advantage has been based on some pretty unsustainable things. So it hasn't necessarily been based on any kind of fiscal discipline. We've always had really high services and low taxes. The reason we've been able to do that is because we had this huge natural gas reservoir. We used that for a century, and you know, things were pretty good. But that came to an end about 10 years ago, and that's gone. The second reason, the second unsustainable thing about the Medicine Hat advantage is that it has been very narrowly defined. So again, we're here talking to the chamber. Yes, Medicine Hat has had the lowest single-family residential taxes for a long time, but business taxes are actually high, and they have been high for a long time. It was interesting, I was here Wednesday, and some candidates were actually, in some ways, you know, clearly acknowledging that business taxes were high, and applauding that, like that's the reason why we need more business here to shoulder the tax burden for the rest of us, not realizing that that is precisely why economic development is so hard. This is a difficult thing for politicians to talk about because unlike federal or provincial taxes that can be adjusted independently, when we adjust taxes here at the municipal level, you make one smaller, the other one gets bigger. Now, I think there are good reasons to do that. I think every property type should just cover its own costs, but those are really hard. Those are really hard decisions. Those are really hard things to talk about. I will say the thing that I really like about municipal politics is that it is a incredibly challenging puzzle, and I think that's what really draws me to this. I know people are going to have some easy ideas here after being on council for 4 years, after working at Alberta municipalities. Let me tell you, there's no easy solutions here. If it was easy, somebody would have done it already.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Chris. So now that we've went through the introductions, we're going to jump into the question and answer period. And the first topic that we have is based on governance, collaboration, and accountability. Just a little bit of background before the question is, as the Chamber is a nonpartisan organization, we believe strongly that municipalities should also be nonpartisan as you represent all constituents in our municipality. In order to effectively advocate for our community, council members need to work with whatever government is in power and whichever local candidates are elected. So how will you ensure that you are able to represent your constituents, regardless of personal or political viewpoints? And how will you work with other members of council that are elected that may have differing viewpoints than your own? And we'll start with Andy McGrogan.
I just turned my mic off thinking I was going to have a moment. Thank you for the question. So day one, it's an easy question for me because what we need to do is, the first thing is build strong relationships with our government partners. I often think, I don't actually care what political stripe you are. We're working for all of you, the citizens. It's that simple. If we always think of the citizens first and say, what are we doing to serve our citizens? It doesn't matter if you are NDP, if you're UCP, whatever it is, we should be there to help them. And I think of Danielle Smith. We have a premier that apparently is in our riding somewhere. And I don't know when we've sat down with her and talked about our mutual interest to bring the citizens of Medicine Hat what they need. We have MLA right here. So, and I don't know of much collaboration that's been done with him. The first day that I'm on the job of picking up the phone, and I'll be insulted if we're not working with all of our government. And if the NDP were in, it's the same thing. It doesn't matter to me. We have to serve our community.
Andy. Drew?
Thank you, Aaron, for the question. I hate early on to bring up the municipal investigation report, but that was a sad document to read. And the saddest part to me was it talked about how this mayor and this council failed so terribly in setting a strategic direction. So Aaron, the first answer to your question is you set a strategic vision, a strategic mission that includes every single Medicine Hatter. So we all have our voice. We all have the opportunity to have hope and grow within the city. I am also so pleased, and my goodness, we have a tough job ahead of us. These 40 people running for council look tremendous. There is a lot of good people in there, and it is going to be a tough choice for all of us. So my job as mayor will to ensure that consensus is created, communication is enhanced, and team building happens. My experience in Edmonton, many cabinet ministers and former MLAs and people that I used to work with in Edmonton have already reached out to me to congratulate me for this initiative and this campaign, so I'll use that to all of our advantage.
Thank you, Drew. Lindsay.
Those three things are a bit hard to cover in 1 minute, but I think importantly, we have increased, relationships are key. You're gonna hear me say relationships a lot tonight, I think. So we have, a good example is the homelessness, mental health, and addiction summits that we worked with our community partner, Medicine Hat Community Housing, to put on and consult the community over a series of 4 summits. And MLA Wright has been very supportive of the city and our efforts in this regard. With respect to building team, I think it's really important right out of the gate that council does conflict resolution training. It helps build teams, and it also ensures that we're speaking the same language. Role clarity and expectations are also really important. It really depends who you're working with as a CAO as to what the working
Thank
style
you, Lindsay.
is.
Alan?
Thank you for your question. My view is that as a city, once we get together, we are the representatives of everyone in the city, so everyone is equal. Now, saying that, we also are Westerners. Hatters are Westerners, and we have a heritage of cooperating, and that's what we have to do. And when council comes talking about provincial matters, my vision is to borrow from other cities like Lethbridge. Once we get council in place, I would like to sit down and talk about the top 3 topics that we will deal with the province at the provincial level, then set up delegations with elected officials and administration, senior administration, make appointments with those ministries, and then visit them. And every time there's an election or that, we keep visiting them. And we also do monthly follow-ups, just email, Zoom meetings, whatever. But we have to keep in their face. And we will remind them that we represent 63,000 voters. So that's my approach.
Chris?
Yes, relationship building is the key, but I think, like obviously working within council to get all on the same page, and then working with the other people in the community. So we were at a meeting with the college yesterday, and we talked about their priorities there, the school division. There's a lot of big organizations in town, and you want to make sure that you're talking to all of them before you start talking to your federal and provincial partners as well. It is an interesting time because every level of the government has their own roles and responsibilities, but it is sometimes hard to stay in your lane. So I think especially for like the emergency shelter that is provincial funding, sometimes you do want to take control of something just to make sure you're able to see it through, but there are challenges when you're working with other levels of government.
Thank you. Just a follow-up question on that same topic. How will you achieve financial sustainability while balancing service delivery, cost competitiveness, and fair taxation? So we'll start with that with Lindsay, because she snickered. I'm just kidding. You were actually first anyways.
That's a lot. So sustainability and being fiscally responsible is incredibly important. Council needs to have the information necessary to make informed decisions about our finances. I really think that going into next year, I would like to request council conduct a forensic audit and look at some of our HR practices, it's not an easy fix because the money has to come from somewhere. And one thing we will be receiving before the end of the year is service levels, a list of our service levels, and that is where we can kind of identify needs versus wants and decide what priorities are. So once we have those priorities set, it's easier for us to turn up or turn down the dial on funding those items.
Thank you, Candidate Clark. Candidate Samarash?
I don't think we should be so hard on ourselves. I mean, I think we need to realize that, again, after a century of relying on our natural gas profits to kind of fund our lifestyle, that's come to an end. You know, we started fixing that problem in 2017. We were hit with COVID right after that, so we're still dealing with the effects of that. You know, the city is going through a lot here as we try to balance these things. The other thing that makes it difficult for a council is that not everybody in the city is struggling. So like 20% of Medicine Hatters make under 40K. They are definitely struggling, but 25% of Medicine Hatters make over 125K. So like they have a different view of what is a need or want. That's a really hard thing to balance for a city council.
Thank you. Candidate Barnes?
Thank you again, Aaron. Balancing financial stability versus tax fairness is one of council's greatest jobs, and experience and the ability to listen and understand the community is very, very important there. I've heard many people tonight mention needs versus wants. Well, let's take out some of the wants. Let's talk about some of the boondoggles we've seen, like an investment in a potential solar farm that may use up all of our reserves. I'll be clear, I'm not against solar power. Somebody else should do it, not the citizens of Medicine Hat. Let's eliminate passing fads. The plus $5 million spent on Division Avenue to make it less safe, how does that make any sense? Let's eliminate all these out-of-town consultants and all these out-of-town reports. But let's also keep in mind, not so long ago when Medicine Hat was growing, the Medicine Hat Advantage was the lowest taxes in Alberta. I believe now we have slipped to 16th. We can't keep going back to the taxpayer, especially when 1/3 of us are hurting.
Thank you. Candidate McGrogan?
Thank you. I'm looking at this as a great reset. This is an opportunity for council to reset, set our strategic plan with our new council, look at our priorities, set them, set one of our financial goals has got to be fair taxation. I'm on record as voting against the taxation that we presently have at 5.6%, and we need to make it lower. We can do that with a good council in place, which I know you're going to put in place. We need to work on bringing our taxes down and making them make our community more sustainable. I think it's very doable. I ran one of the largest tax-supported sides of budgets through my policing experience and ran one of the largest budgets in the city. And I know that we can do a better job budgeting and looking for savings in our budget. So I think we can be more sustainable, and by doing that, we're creating confidence in our environment and where we are as a city and how we grow.
Thank you. Candidate Rose?
Okay, I think the first part that I think is the low-hanging fruit is we stop these projects with losses. We get these projects like the small roundabouts up in the hill where they spend $500,000 on 2 of them and then tell you to drive over them. When you talk about Division Avenue, I get more people telling me they knew nothing about what was happening there, and then we ended up with protests about it all over the place, and that again is another $3 to $5 million that we lost. And we do the projects time and time again where we put out the money, like the solar reflective plant. That was a pilot plant, so it wasn't even tested for this area. It was going to be the test. And that cost the city about $10 million. I mean, we can talk about some HR wages and that, but that's not going to have as much effect as these projects. Even the downtown, 2nd Street, nobody knew that there was nothing going on for a year. So we've got to stop those.
Thank you. We'll now open the floor for debate on this topic, and no candidate will speak for more than 30 seconds. And candidates must wait to be given the floor before we speak. And we're going to have 4 minutes on the clock. So we'll start with candidate Samarash.
You know, I think it's easy for people who haven't been at council I think there's this impression that they can just magically find all these savings without actually cutting services. I don't think that's the case. Like, we've been through this before. I think the problem is that we need to have hard conversations. Okay, you want to save taxes? Okay, what services are we cutting? That's not an easy question to always answer. And it's also easy to pile on. So like the thing about Division Ave, first of all, like those elephant feet that slow down turning radiuses, sure, maybe they could have been a little bit smaller, but the principle might be sound.
Thank you. It's easy for people to point out Division Avenue, and it was, there was things we could have done better, but the issue there is, do we learn from it and do we move forward? And that's what I think we need to actually look at. It's easy to criticize, but did we need deep services and structure there? Yes, we did. Could there have been a couple things on the surface that we could have did better? Absolutely. But have we learned, and are we moving forward? And that's the important thing as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you. Candidate Rose?
Okay, in reference to that statement is we learn. My view was when I was with the ratepayers and we had the solar reflective plant, I said we can't keep affording to learn these lessons at this amount. $10 million here, $2 million there, and we're learning. If you're truly learning, you're not going to be repeating those mistakes. If you did that in industry, you'd be unemployed and you'd be looking for another job. And we have to be more pragmatic. This is other people's money. You don't see the people making these decisions.
Candidate Barnes?
Thank you. One of the major changes we have to look at is the culture that the mayor and the council have had, a complete lack of financial discipline. I think back when the mayor and council decided that they wanted to take $700,000 out of reserves to study a solar farm license, which we, the people of Medicine Hat, had already bought. They took it out of reserves easily. When they needed to take a slightly larger amount of money out so we wouldn't have to dig into our wallets and maybe deprive our families of something.
Thank you. Candidate Clark?
Thank you. Just on that particular issue, the solar farm project is an investment, and we have to invest in our energy business if we want it to be successful. It's not necessarily going ahead. What we're going to do is receive back the financials. Does it make business sense to pursue it? And is it good for our community? That's how we should be making decisions as a council. Additionally, I think there are lots of opportunities just with using technology. When we embrace AI, sometimes we can make things more efficient and save costs.
Thank you. Candidate Barnes?
Thank you. Again, I'm worried about the lack of financial discipline. We don't need to invest hundreds of millions in a solar farm. We instead can just buy a power purchase agreement from somebody else who produces solar or wind or green. And I never heard this mayor or this council talk about that. Friends, we need budgets that are adhered to, budgets that are set with your pocketbook in mind.
Candidate Samraj?
I think we're all searching for a sustainable Medicine Hat advantage. You think what the lesson I learned through COVID was when we gave 0% tax raises for tax increases for 2 years, was that eventually catches up with which this council has to deal with. So I do feel for them when that happens.
Thank you. Candidate Rose?
When it comes to that with the sustainability and that, some of these projects, like when you talk about a project, you should always look, does it return 17% net profit on capital employed after expenses? If it doesn't, the city should not be investing because this is other people's money. And that's what happened with Samus Solar. It was done backwards. They went and bought the project, then they're doing the feasibility.
Debate's always fun, hey? Nobody looks at their 30 seconds. And I get to talk lots, I enjoy it. No, I'm just kidding. Let's move on to topic number 2. So on the topic of strengthening business competitiveness. So the question is what do you believe is hindering growth within the city? And what would you believe is the single most important thing that needs to be changed in order to realize our full potential and grow as a city? And we'll start with Candidate Rose.
Okay, now I'm going to sound like Bill Dearborn because I've been stuck on this topic for about 6 years. If we want to really make Medicine Hat grow, we need that wild horse border crossing a commercial port. Once that happens, then manufacturing will set up here. Coming from my business development, there's 3 pillars that you need for a business to consider. One is supply of materials, the next is location and access to a market, and the third is a skilled workforce. If we don't get Wild Horse open, the only place it's going to be taking our products is in Coots. And that's why Tabor to Fort Macleod is filled with factories, because they go to Coots. Alberta has 1 port. Saskatchewan has 4, BC has 16. It is ultra critical, and the Americans are aware. For anyone that went down to Havre lately, you'll see that the Americans put a lot of money into that, and now we have to adopt it.
Thank you. Candidate Barnes.
Thank you again, Aaron. Lots of things have held us back, and it's so sad because we have so many risk takers, so many entrepreneurs, and so many hard workers. Let's start with what we can control. I hear it time and time again. Our city has a culture of no when you bring a development idea or a building permit idea. I will work to change that to a culture of here's how you get to yes. Then I will hold them accountable and transparent so everyone in Alberta can see how good we're doing in Medicine Hat getting things done. I've heard it many, many times about how our fees and permits for businesses are much higher than other municipalities. How does that make any sense? And when I hear investors getting off the plane and saying, what the heck is going on with your mayor and council and all this dysfunction, that's the easiest thing to change.
Thank you. Candidate Samraj.
I will say, I mean, if the biggest impediment to our economic development is the Wild Rose border crossing, I mean, you're running in the wrong election here. I guess my point is the disproportionate high business taxes is where we need to focus. The UFC did a study, the School of Public Policy, for every 10% that we increase business taxes, there's a 7% decrease in investment. It's an easy way. It doesn't play favorites. I think that's the real solution there. Thanks.
Thank you. Candidate Clark.
Thank you. Stick to the fundamentals. So business retention and expansion, attraction and workforce development. Over the course of our term, we collaborated with 4 other municipalities to develop a regional economic development strategy that highlights agri-food and agribusiness, our aerospace and defense, and tourism as some of our potential growth areas. As we work with our region and identify what our competitive advantages are as a region, we become more competitive. But economic development is a long game, and I really feel that we sometimes spend too much time looking inwards, and it would be very helpful if we could go out and build relationships with other communities, go to the trade shows, and really sell the city.
Thank you. Candidate McGrogan.
Thank you. I think that the number one thing that we have to do is bring confidence back to our community and to the communities around us that we as a council and administration in the city are working on behalf of the people of Medicine Hat and our community. And that is, I think, the number one thing that is missing is bringing confidence back to that we are actually doing that. I think of how we tax and our taxation fair, are our fees fair? Are we doing actually the right thing to make people feel that we are safe and that we're stable in our community? And I actually don't think at times that we are. So we need policies that are fair and that they're stable so that you that are doing business here know what's coming. We all, as just like, you know, good parents, we want to know that they're safe, that it's stable, that our economy, they can predict our taxes, they can predict our growth. And if we can put us in a position to do that, then we create the stability, and we do that through a good strategic plan through council.
Thank you. So let's debate this topic. Let's talk about your perspectives on business competitiveness and effective strategies for growth. I mean, we've talked a little bit about your position, but let's have some thoughts on that, and we'll start with Candidate McGrogan.
Thank you. I'm going to start with an audacious idea. How about we build a weir in Medicine Hat? We actually bring some harvest water in our community. If you think about the issues that are facing our community and why the agricultural corridor is not moving this direction, one of the major issues is people don't feel, our developers and business don't feel that we have the water that we need here to sustain growth. So how do we do that? And a weir sounds audacious, but it's actually very doable, and we could actually create a whole bunch of benefit from creating a weir in Medicine Hat. It's about 50 million, somewhere in that area. It's a lot of money. But if we look at the next election term, it sounds like a lot. But if we actually look at the next 4 years, we can start that process rolling. We're bringing tourism, we're bringing business here because people need water. A lot of companies need water, pea fracturing plant that we apparently missed because they're worried about our water stability.
Clark?
Thank you. I actually appreciate a lot of the ideas in the Chamber's policy on this item. We have a lot of opportunity to ensure that our policies and our regulations as a city are consistent with the provinces and are competitive. Having timelines for permits and doing customer service surveys after every permit so that we can identify where we need to improve and actually have a hope of changing how people view the city and make it easy to work with. I also really
Thank you. Rose?
Okay, I'll deviate a little from this because I got experience in when Mr. Barnes, and I actually agree with him in this part, the city hall is hard to deal with permits and that. There's one lady, she gave me permission to tell her story. She bought the storage yard off Spencer right by Spectacular. She applied for building permits in September. She came to me at the end of January and she still didn't have them. She was destitute, her financing was running out, she was about ready to leave the city. She came from Okotoks, and when I went and looked at all the correspondence, it looked like a relatively, and we did get a simple fix within a week.
Samraj?
There's so much pressure on city council to bring new economic development. I remember when I was on council, I mean, I voted $6 million for Aurora Sun, and a decision that went sideways. What I learned from that was that you swing big, you have potential to miss big. I think I agree with Mayor Clark. Focus on business retention and inspection. Focus on who's here right now and helping them grow.
Thank you. Barnes?
Thank you again, Aaron. 3 quick things. Medicine Hat needs to become the fastest at approving permits and inspections. Let's become very competitive. Let's be transparent. Let's post it on the internet so the whole world can see that. Development levies. We're not collecting them anyway, as we've had no growth and no economic development here in the last little while. So call it a holiday or an end to development levies. Let's do that. Thirdly, Medicine Hatters friends, we have a gold mine with our electric exemption license. Our parents and grandparents were so smart to have kept that for us.
Sorry, Drew. Thank you. McGrogan?
Thank you. In my old world, we used to look around for best practices. Red Deer has, or Grand Prairie has just won recently a municipal award for reducing red tape. So there's already programs in the province that are already established that will put us in a position to reduce red tape. They did it by combining their development and planning permits into one by making it electronic and giving our citizens a one place to shop. And if it's already done, we can do it.
Thank you, Andy. We did go over a little bit, but I said, Candidate Clark, that you could go ahead, so go ahead.
Thank you. I did just want to note that with respect to the alignment of policies.
Your time's up. Just kidding. Go ahead.
Oh, you little rascal. You got me. The Premier, in her recently released mandate letters to the Ministry of Municipal Affairs, does include alignment of policies, so it's something they're working towards as well. Also, collaboration. And one of the things that this council's, the Regional Economic Development Strategy says is we have a lot of good groups doing a lot of amazing economic development work already in our city, but oftentimes we're duplicating work and we're stepping on each other.
Thank you. It is actually now.
Okay.
So, but no, great debate on that. Appreciate it. Topic number 3. So this question is based on building healthy communities. I know this is something we've talked about earlier, but businesses and residents have had increased concern about crime and property damage. So the question is, what direction do you believe the city should take in addressing these complex issues that we see in Medicine Hat? 60 seconds for the question. We'll start with candidate Samraj.
I think it's tempting to blame those who are struggling in our community, that it's somehow their fault. I think what we're seeing is just the tip of the iceberg here. There are tons of people struggling with affordability. We all are. These are the people that are just most affected by it. Some of the comments about like we just need more police, more enforcement, these are poverty issues, so more police is not going to solve the issue. It is challenging because it works across different levels of government. I realize that the province funds emergency shelters. I think the city has to take control of this just so we can control where it goes. That is a hard conversation to have, but it's better to be in control of that. I think the idea I had is also another new type of first responder. Police respond to social service and mental health calls. I think a new type of first responder to deal with those, I think would also help in the short term.
Thank you. Candidate McGrogan.
Thank you. We can't arrest our way out of crime and poverty issues. So how else do we deal with it? I'm really pleased to see that the mustard seed has asked for a pause on picking the location for the present overnight shelter location. I think it's prudent for us to stand back as council and the mustard seed and say, hey, can we do better? Can we find a better place? Are we meeting the needs of the community? This is not an easy solution. It's very complex. So we have to ask ourselves, is it a provincial issue? It is, but our citizens are being affected every day by the menial crimes that are occurring and the disruption, the social disruption, the feeling of the lack of safety that we have in our community. So we need to be a part of this. So we need to be active partners in finding a solution of where we house them. If we back the boat up further, it's how can we treat these folks? We can't just keep feeding them and giving them a place to stay. We need to help fix the problem.
Thank you. Candidate Clark.
Well, as I explained before, this council undertook with the Medicine Hat Community Housing Society a series of summits. And it clearly outlined in those reports the various responsibility areas. And while it's true that it is a provincial responsibility, there are community members, there are neighbors, there are friends. We, as a municipality, have very little influence on inflation in terms of, the global economy is a little outside of our scope. But what we can do is find those things that are going to improve the lives of Hatters. So, for example, this council created, or it was created before, but the we created a program where you could get 75% off your bus tickets. And fair entry program generally is to help with those costs.
Candidate Barnes.
Thank you, Aaron. It's to me, it's a four-step solution. First of all, we have to own the problem. Homelessness and crime is our problem because it's here in our community affecting our neighbors and ourselves. Secondly, we have to separate homelessness from criminal activity. We will give homeless people all the help they need. We will go to more local solutions than these provincial and national ones that we'll go to more local solutions. Thirdly, law enforcement. Places like Leduc have started to have a higher police presence. They've started to enforce all criminal activity, including trespassing, vagrancy, and the more serious ones like break and enter and theft. I will be asking our police commission and police to do the same thing. We are responsible in our lives. Criminals of all types have to be responsible in their lives. Finally, advocacy. The Edmonton and the Toronto Police Force just started writing letters to Crown prosecutors and judges asking them to stop the catch and release. We need to do the same.
Thank you. Candidate Rose.
Thank you. Again, from looking from the outside and seeing how other projects are not handled, and I've made this statement on Facebook many times, we have to start consulting with all the stakeholders. We can't just decide something and then try to make it work. Mr. McGrogan was right. We can't arrest our way out of this. We've got to cure the problem. Those people are there because they're desperate. There are some who are professional criminals, and they should be tracked, and then they can also be challenged and maybe get stiffer sentences. But for the ones that are doing it, we've got to start giving them the help they need. I mean, when the mustard seed was relocating, I was approached by people who said, hey, how are they moving these other services up there? I'm not on drugs, I'm not homeless, but I still ate at the mustard seed. So we got to start bringing everyone to the table before we make these decisions, not make them and then try to make them fit.
Sort of a follow-up question on that is affordable housing and the cost of living, which we've talked about, has been an issue across Canada. What strategies will you seek to implement and help build more affordable housing and address the increased cost of living in Medicine Hat? A little bit of background and thought on that question there too is, I mean, consider housing starts and how many that we've seen in this city and growth that we've seen in this city. And while you think of that, look at some of the strategies that we could implement to help build more affordable housing and address that increased cost, as I said. We'll start with you, Drew.
Thanks again, Aaron. Well, ending all development costs will make development a lot cheaper and allow more competition and more builders. We're blessed right now with several new big projects coming on market. That competition is going to make it more affordable for all Medicine Hatters. But we also have to look at attainable housing. And I've been talking to some builders in town. The idea behind attainable housing is more affordably priced homes for our children and our first-time home buyers who can actually enter the housing market. I think back when I was young, you could save for a down payment in 2 or 3 years. You could pay off your house in 10 years. And unfortunately, that is not possible. So I think back to one of the things Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre said in the last election, how he wanted to go to the federal government and ask them to turn all of their excess land into attainable housing for first-time buyers. I think we should look at the same thing in Medicine Hat. The province and the feds own a lot.
Thank you. Candidate Rose.
Okay, one of the ideas that I've tossed around about this is the city has a lot of land in reserve and a lot of places. And every time, about once or twice a year I read, we just did another one, land was valued at 860-some thousand. It had got no offer, so we sold it for 500-some thousand. We got no other benefit other than getting rid of the land. But my approach I'd like to see is if we have land, something like out in Burnside, or even if there's some out in Southridge, if the city took that land and then took money out of our reserves that's invested, getting 6% or so, and used that money to build affordable housing there, but we would always own the land, and we could partner with a developer that we could guarantee the rates wouldn't exceed so much more than we returned our 6 to 7% that we would have got anyways. And that would take pressure off the market and allow people some breathing room. And this way we would still own the land and not give it to a developer.
Candidate McGrogan.
Thank you. Affordable housing, we can do many things as a municipality, and we do. We give land away. So we've actually gifted land to affordable housing projects in the community already. We can affect the price of a 2x4. We do have high costs of inflation right now that's making building a house very difficult and not very affordable, but we need to find ways to incentivize. And one of the ways is incentivizing backyard suites and allowing people that live in their homes now to put a suite in their backyard that first allows the people that live in their residence to stay there, and then getting revenue out of putting a suite in their backyard. So we can incentivize that. I've seen a couple of them happen. We have incentivized them, and it works. So we can create affordable housing by allowing people that already own the property to build those little suites in their backyard to get income and give places that people can live and afford to live in.
Thank you. Candidate Clark.
Thank you. So we have, in the last 4 years, developed infill programs where if you're going to build on an existing lot that's serviced or redevelop something, you are eligible for a certain amount of money per dwelling that you are going to be including in that project. We also have the residential tax incentive bylaw, where you can get a break on your taxes if you add auxiliary suites like backyard suites or over your garage. We've also had the Brownfield tax incentive for a really long time before I was mayor, And what we need to do is make things we want to happen easy. So the brownfield tax incentive hasn't been used. Why?
Thank you. Candidate Samrash.
I find it interesting. We're at a chamber event here, and every solution to this problem has been to have government subsidies. I mean, we are going to run out of money before we actually solve the problem, given the scale of the need here. We have to figure out market solutions. That's always the harder thing to do. I mean, you know, contractors are always talking about that they can only make a profit on high-end houses. Then we need to figure out how they can make a living on modest houses. If you look at just the houses that I grew up in compared to what are out there today, it's just vastly different. Simply incentivizing backyard suites isn't going to do it, because if you have enough money to build a house or buy a house, you need additional money to buy another one. I think another option is potentially to let them subdivide their backyard. Some of these things are going to be controversial, so you have to make these land use zoning decisions neighborhood by neighborhood and really do it slowly. Like, these things take time. I went through Edmonton and I watched them go through it there. These are really touchy subjects. You have to do it neighborhood by neighborhood and slowly.
Thank you. You guys ready for a fun question? No, there's no follow-ups on this one. Okay. Candidate Clark. Here's a fun one for you all. Many residents have voiced their concerns about aspects of the transportation master plan, particularly the narrowing of roads. How do you plan on addressing the concerns surrounding these projects? So we'll go with Lindsay. You had your hand up, so we'll go with candidate Clark.
And plus my mic was still on. We, I think, have done the thing that needed to be done. The Transportation Master Plan came forward, and our community made it clear that they didn't feel listened to, and they didn't feel that their goals and what their city wanted, they wanted their city to be, were reflected in the plan. Some certainly liked it, others didn't. But we need to go back to the community, which we have now committed to do, to really try and get to the bottom of how are our citizens using the existing infrastructure, and think into the future. What is this? What do we want Kingsway to be 10 years from now, 20 years from now? And build our roads around that kind of future vision.
Thank you. Candidate McGrogan.
Thank you. This is it was very controversial, but again, a great learning experience. So what I think about what we heard about the transportation master plan is that people were upset with the narrowing of roads, and it was an engineer's kind of design to narrow roads to reduce speed. And what I think I learned overall is that we need to back up the bus, and we need to say, okay, let's have this consultation up front. I think we've got this backwards, and I know we have it backwards, where there's plans that are made, the public consultation happens after kind of the plan's developed, and as a council, we need to develop our strategic plan, get our priorities in place, and then project by project, we get the goods given to council to say, okay, here's the advantages and the things that work and the things that don't work about this project, and that we're at the front end instead of the back end taking the heat for the projects that staff make.
Thank you. Candidate Barnes.
Thank you, Aaron. Answers so far to me seem like they're too much in the details, and it's sad that we invested over $5 million, and now we're talking to the citizens and seeing how perturbed they are, and it's made it worse. It's made it less safe by far than it used to be. So I think it's simple. City Council and the Mayor need to set the strategic vision and let our good employees do the work. And that strategic vision isn't about, the example led by Strong Towns. The Transportation Master Plan has failed so miserably with its start. So let's completely throw it out and start over. But let our employees do it. Let our good staff do it. Thirdly, in the shame of this Transportation Master Plan in Division Avenue, we're forgotten about the hardship that we did to the businesses downtown with 2 or 3 years of digging them up and the consequences they have faced for that. We've got to be more transparent.
Thank you, Drew. Candidate Samrash.
You know, we're all up here auditioning to be mayor here, and we've talked about teamwork and the need to work together. I mean, that extends to staff as well. Not every project is going to go completely smoothly, and then you can't just throw staff under the bus every time that happens. Just because everything didn't go perfectly with this project doesn't mean there wasn't some intentionality and that there were some reasons for some of those things. So road narrowing, there are two ways to slow down traffic. You can just put you can lower the speed limit and just put a sign, or you can narrow roads. I mean, there are two major schools within a block of that road. I live in that area. Okay, maybe it's too narrow, maybe you can widen it. I mean, again, there is some intentionality here, and the principle there, is sound. So again, just because everything didn't work perfectly doesn't mean that you have to throw everything out. This is part of the constructive process of learning and then moving forward.
Thank you. Candidate Rose.
Okay, well, with this master plan, when I went in and looked at it, what I saw was more of a vision and then a bunch of projects that fit under that vision but not linked. There's no talk about skeletal roads in that, which are critical at times. Because my view would have been the best thing for Division Avenue would have been to build a new bridge over the river and connect north and south. And if you did that, you could go straight from Southridge right up to Northlands. And that, if you let it run as a skeletal road, would solve a lot of our problems. We could have the buses room. You could have express buses going up and down there and neighborhood collector buses coming into these express, creating a quicker trip up and north. And then people will use the transit more. Also, for people that do want to go up to Costco, want to go to Co-op Place and that, they will have a quicker way instead of rushing through neighborhoods and curling. Anyone here knows it's difficult to go north, to get across that bridge. You've got to drive through neighborhoods.
Thank
and
you.
that.
I'm going to change something up here just really quick in respect to time. This question I think is important, and we're going to run out of time for all questions again. But so 30 seconds. Let's just get the 4 minutes on the clock if we can, whichever side is doing but I'll give you each 30 seconds, and I want to know what you would do to strengthen consultation and engagement to ensure public and private sector voices are heard on strategic plans and decisions in the community. So we'll start with you, Candidate Samrash.
There's no shortcut to some of these things. I mean, it's old-fashioned relationship building, and for that, you just need stability in staffing positions. So council cycles every 4 years. You have no idea whether you're going to come back or not. The stability with the interactions with the community does come from the staff side. So I think really focusing on how to keep staff in positions where they can learn, we can make connections in the community. So like you take Harlow, for example. Do I have a minute or 30 seconds here?
30 seconds, 2 seconds left.
Okay, we'll stop here then.
Your time is up, sir. Candidate Rose.
Okay, one of the things that I've advocated for is, in my platform, I said I would hold open town hall meetings every 3 months that I would host. I would invite councilors that could come, but I don't see what is the problem with us meeting with the public and talking with the public to find out what they don't know, so we can get clarity on these subjects. I mean, the public's our employer. We should be listening to them. And sometimes, again, if you get an engineering report, you may not understand.
Candidate McGrogan, 30 seconds.
Consultation needs to take place in every stage of what we do, and that's what I've heard over and over again in my last 4 years on council. So while we build our strategic plan, we come with what we think is the skeleton of the plan, we bring the community together, whoever wants to come and say, how are we doing? We work through the plan, we come back, we say, how are we doing? We come with strat plans and we say, come back to the community. It's open council committee of the whole meetings, and people can come and give their feedback. It's really quite simple. We're not doing enough, and we just need to do it more.
Thank you.
That's one lesson I've learned.
Candidate Clark.
Thank you. At the beginning of our term, we were holding town halls. I think that's a really effective way of hearing from people and not waiting until someone is upset or frustrated with the city. Building trust and relationships is key, and also craving data. So we should be always seeking out data. So if you plan an event with the city using our event policies, we give you a survey. How did we do?
Thank you.
And correct
Candidate Barnes.
Thanks, Aaron. I would absolutely refocus council and the culture at City Hall and the strategic planning. People in Medicine Hat are about to elect 8 quality councilors. there's 8 people where you start your consultation with as they reach out to the 63,000 of us. Secondly, local staff. All these reports, all these hiring for people who are not connected to Medicine Hat. Let's use our great experience, let's use the great expertise of our local staff and ask them to be involved in the consultations.
Anybody have a follow-up to that? Or I don't have time for everybody, but did I miss anybody in the time that you just wanted to? Chris, I know you put your hand up. Did you? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Harlow is a good example. I mean, that particular neighborhood has been through a lot. Like, they went through the berm controversy when I was there, and then the apartment building. I think if you had, you know, stability and staff to work through these things, then the next time something like this happens, you're not trying to re-educate somebody on all the history that's happened before that. I think that goes a long way, just develop those relationships for every neighborhood.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, let's move on to the next question and the last question. So, topic of energy and utilities. What is your position on the municipally controlled corporation, MCC, and the Samus Solar Project? And what will your approach be to the city's energy business and energy diversification? And we'll start with candidate Rose.
Okay, thank you. Like I alluded to earlier, the Samus Solar Project was done exactly backwards if you go to any project management. They purchased a project, and then they did the feasibility study. That's equivalent of putting a $10,000 deposit down on a truck that's non-refundable, then reading the manual to see if your truck will pull your trailer. Because if you're committed to that, you already spent $7.5 million of other people's money that you're admitting you don't know if it'll work. Now, there's an exact same project, just like that one is delivered. This work was easy to do, sitting in Calgary on the old Wesco fertilizer property, and I used to work for Wesco, so I'm very aware of it. And it's the same project by DP Energy. Why they didn't go and check that out before doing this? This is what hurts us. And this is what hurts us with our utilities. We keep doing this to utilities, and we spend money, we lose money, and that makes it unattainable. So we can't sustain our utilities.
Candidate Clark.
Thank you very much. We have to be responsive if we want to attract industry here to what industry is looking for. And one of the things that they have a need for is green energy. So I don't disagree that you know, we could have done it differently, but in this case, the opportunity presented itself, and we had a choice to make about whether we wanted to protect that opportunity or, within our ring fence, have someone else doing that. There is still the opportunity to partner. There is still the opportunity to sell the project, or we could develop it. What we did is create optionality for the city, and now we're going to assess which one of those things makes the most sense. On the MCC, I agree that we do need some skill-based governance in addition to council, just for feedback and making sure we're making the right decisions.
Thank you. Candidate Barnes.
Thank you, Aaron. Reliable electricity is the goal of the future as data centers, as robots, as all these things take over. And Medicine Hatters, we are in such a great position. Let me take my hat off, though. A quick shout to the City of Medicine Hat Electric Department employees. Over the last couple of years, we made $300 million. I'm reading last weekend, the spot price of natural gas was 2 cents, and our employees were turning it into electricity and selling it to the rest of Alberta. It's a huge opportunity we have. Let's cherish it, and let's use it for the benefit of all Medicine Hatters. In this discussion, I like the idea that City Council came forward with the rate review committee, getting Medicine Hatters involved, getting some people involved who feel the hardship, who feel the opportunity. That way we hear from them all. The Samus Solar Farm, we didn't have to buy the license from DP Energy to do this. We might have thrown away $10 million. We don't know where we're at this point.
Candidate Samraj.
I think it's pretty interesting that the most conservative member of this panel is arguing in favor of keeping our publicly owned utility, which is a socialist idea. I attended the public hearing in June. I spoke in favor of MCC, and I stayed to listen to some of the concerns. I think there are creative ways of bridging some of those things. People don't want some outside board to run this. We can say, okay, you have to live in Medicine Hat to run this. I think people say, you know, like, what is the problem we're trying to solve? People have very short memories here. So we have a twin company here, the natural gas company. When I got onto council in 2017, we were bleeding money. We lost $100 million over 5 years. We had a significant dependence on this struggling company. And we had $225 million in abandonment liabilities that we had not saved for. This is all under council control, and you're telling me that council has effective governance?
Thank you. Candidate McGrogan.
So as far as MCC goes, municipally controlled corporations, I supported it. In retrospect, after it was defeated, we went to a recommendation to have other options looked at. And I think that staff came back with some really excellent ideas about an MCC light, some kind of a skill-based board that could direct us on how to run our utilities. I've heard some old timers that were on council tell us that, you know, we ran it for 100 years, we can keep running it the way we always have, but it's a pretty complicated thing. There was no such thing as green energy and green energy credits then, but there is now. I think we need a skill-based board to help us do this. About the solar project, I heard a story about, you know, a snake, once they start eating their prey, they can't spit it out. And we've slowly started eating that snake of the solar panel, the project. And so we've ate more and we've ate more, and it's tough now to say, okay, we're gonna stop. So we need to at least explore it forward. Thank you.
So let's open the floor for debate on this topic. So again, 4 minutes on the clock, 30 seconds. I know it's not a lot of time, but just let me know if you'd like to speak on it. And I'll absolutely give you the floor for 30 seconds. We'll start with you, Rose.
Okay, my view on the MCC, I already told you about the solar, but on the MCC, I think we need to look at it because there are tectonic events gonna come and everything's getting electrified. But we should look at the difference between what NMAX did, Calgary did with NMAX, and Edmonton did with EPCOR. Edmonton kept the distribution system in Medicine, or in their company, but they sold off the generation, and the generation is our weak spot. And I've talked to other people, and you can buy the contracts on and take advantage of lower prices like we just mentioned. So if we look at that.
Thank you. Samaraj?
I think we're having this discussion about a municipally owned corporation when our trust in corporations is an all-time low. I mean, stories of corporate greed are everywhere. I think what we need to keep in mind is we can structure this company, this in any way we want. I think there's a lot of creative ways we can do this that still solves the main thing of a skills-based board to help us govern this.
Thank you. McGrogan?
Thank you. I agree, and that's why I like the idea of exploring some form of a skill-based board that still allows council to, at the end of the day, be responsible to make decisions, but giving us an opportunity to have people that know the business make the decisions about our solar fields and about our future in energy. It's complicated, and it's not as simple as perhaps it once was, and we just needed to make electricity because we didn't have any other choice. We now have choice.
Thank you. Anybody else? Clark?
It's really important for us to protect our energy business. You saw during the debates about MCC how valuable it is to us. And to do that, we have to be forward-looking. We need to make sure that we're being innovative so that we can be successful. And the city has now partnered for two pilot projects that are looking at ways to use AI to improve the efficiency.
Thank you. Samaraj?
I think people have a hard time understanding what the risk is with the electric company. I mean, there are two risks. One is the regulatory one. So, like, if we don't do anything to diversify our assets, we've got an entire fleet of natural gas-powered things. If that somehow gets phased out by the federal government, suddenly we've lost our entire asset thing. The other thing is if they do crack battery storage, then suddenly we're not competitive. So there are real problems on the horizon that we do need to prepare for.
Thank you. Anybody else? Wow, we got done early. That's awesome. So good. What we'll move on to is closing statements for each candidate.
Really?
and each candidate will get 2 minutes, and we'll go in reverse order. Actually, we're going to have to, just looking at the clock, we're going to have to limit it to 1:30 if we can. And going in reverse order, so we'll start with candidate Samrash first. So go ahead, Chris.
I watched my first chamber debate in 2017 recently, and boy, I was on fire. I was just tearing it up. I think the one thing that has changed for me in that time is that, you know, that approach doesn't always work. I mean, we all, like, you know, we talk about teamwork. I mean, that is a hard thing to do sometimes. I get it that our standard of living used to be really high, and now it's not quite as high. I think what a lot of you don't realize is that is still way higher than almost everywhere else. And it's tempting, like, when these things happen and where our community is suddenly under stress, to start pointing fingers. You know, we're not going to get through this like that. Like, the odds are is that the world is still going to get tougher. So, like, I think we do have to figure out a way to have these difficult conversations productively. Thank you.
Thank you. Alan.
Okay, now, the reason I'm running for mayor is because Medicine Hat is a great place. If it wasn't, my wife and I would have left. But we love it here. We have friends here. It's great. It's got beautiful paths, nice parks. But we're on the precipice. I hear it all the time. Young people don't want to come here because there's nothing for them. We can start working together, and we can start getting Medicine Hat back on track. But we have to start now, and we have to start handling our money better. All this money that we lose on these projects, 10 million here, 500,000 here, 1.5 million there, we can't add that up to learning. I mean, those supply facilities for young people. Like, you look at our skate parks here. It's something I've been on the bandwagon for a long time about. Lethbridge has 4 big skateboard parks that were paid for by the city. And I'll tell you one that's really embarrassing. Creston, BC, with 5,000 people, has a better skate park than we have here, and the city paid for it. So we have to, if we just start losing this money and be more careful about making these decisions, start analyzing, instead of buying a solar farm plan without seeing if it's feasible first, that's money that we could spend on things for Medicine Hat. And if we start doing that, we will start to get better.
Thank you. Candidate Grogan.
Thank you. As the mayor of Medicine Hat, what I want to bring is steady, mature leadership to this position. I know we've got 39 candidates, and it's up to all of you to pick 8 excellent candidates, and I have confidence that you will. Our job is to build a vision for how we're going to move forward in the future, bring that vision to our chief officer, our CAO, and have that plan executed. And then we come back to the community and say, are we on the right track? And it's simple leadership to me. So it's simple steps of get a plan together, bring it to our CAO, who we need to know is going to execute the plan, bring the plan to the senior administration and have them buy into the plan with our consultation and bring it forward. And you need senior leadership, you need quiet, mature leadership. I think what all of you want to hear is that we're working on behalf of you, the citizens. We want to calm the noise. We want to actually get the job done. And what you want to hear is, you don't want, I know you enjoy Monday night drama every 2 weeks, but I think what you really want is stable, mature leadership. And I know that's what I can bring to City Hall. I can bring collaboration, leadership, and I'm excited to have that opportunity to do that over the next 4 years. So thank you.
Thank you. Lindsay.
I think one thing that I have absolutely shown over the past 4 years is that I am doing this for the right reasons. This is not about my ego or that I'm, just out for myself. I have shown that I have integrity and I can be trusted. And now more than ever, we need our government to be trustworthy and for people, business, industry to feel like they can trust our government. That gives us latitude with innovation, and it allows us to have a relationship of collaboration with our local community groups, businesses, and residents. And from there, we can empower them to make our city better. The city doesn't have to do everything. We need to work with the people that are in our community already doing good things. Neighborhood associations are one example of how we can improve those relationships and the communication between the city and the community. The other thing I think I've shown is that I am willing to hold this city accountable. And that's really critical because you can have a strategic plan, but if it's not implemented, what do you do then? It's all about accountability at that point.
Thank you. Drew.
Thanks again, Aaron. Thanks to the Chamber, and thanks to everybody for being here tonight and those that watched online. Please help me refocus Medicine Hat's council, governance, and strategic techniques. Please, let's take responsibility for this. Let's refocus Medicine Hat's council, governance, and strategic techniques. My wife Frances and I are so proud that we live in Medicine Hat. We're so proud that we're entrepreneurial, we took risk, we raised our family here. We are so proud of Medicine Hat, and I want everyone here to be just as proud of Medicine Hat as we are. How am I going to lead? I had the great fortune to play on the Medicine Hat Cubs in 1978 and 79, and our coach was one terrific gentleman, Dean Turleson. Dean had 3 key ways he led. He was always positive. We won the provincial championship 2 years in a row, and I never ever remember thinking there was any chance that we could lose. Dean was that positive. And he was so fair. 4 lines, 19 young men. He rolled those lines fairly. He played everyone equal and treated us all the same and with respect. And maybe most of all, when he had a problem with you, and it was 19 young men between 16 and 20, so there was problems, he went right to you and told you what he was thinking and how he could help you. That's how I will lead. That's how I will make us all proud of Medicine Hat.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone. How about a round of applause for our candidates this evening? So thank you to our candidates, and thank you to all of you for attending. On behalf of the Chamber of Commerce, it's been great to host these forums, the ones that were on Wednesday night as well as the ones tonight. If you haven't had an opportunity, I don't know why everybody's leaving. Like, this is the good part now. Like, stay seated. Come on, hang out. If you haven't watched them, you can look back at the ones on Wednesday or some of the ones that you may have not seen tonight. But while the Chamber does not endorse any one candidate, it is the Chamber's responsibility to help you as the public understand the issues that are at stake in our municipal election and where candidates stand on business-related issues. So we hope that by attending tonight's event that you're able to make a more informed decision on October 20th, and we invite you to watch these forums again on the Chamber's YouTube channel, as well as the interviews and forums that will be televised on Rogers TV. While we know we had limited times for questions, we encourage you to reach out to candidates in order to help inform yourselves for your decision to head into the polls. Note that candidate contact information is also now available on the city website. I'd also like to acknowledge the Chamber staff for their work in organizing our forums, as well as the Board of Directors of the Chamber and volunteers in their roles this evening. A special thank you to the Esplanade staff for your support in the production of these forums. And if you would like to learn more, absolutely. Let's give them a round of applause. And if you would like to learn more about the Chamber and our Vote Prosperity platform, please visit us at southeastalbertachamber.ca. Anyone can also subscribe to the Chamber's weekly newsletter and our content on our website. So thank you all for attending, and have a great evening.